Good evening. Good evening. We are going to say the pledge and then move on to our meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, of liberty and justice. No. Keep looking for the microphones, forgetting that we no longer use them. All right. So, do we have any announcements? No, you don't have, I just wanted,
I do.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. So,
The new mural in Market Square is underway. It started yesterday. The muralist is Chris Korea. He is amazing. He does it all freehand. I've gone over there and been watching him. And he'll be back next week to continue working on it. And he'll be done by the end of July. We're gonna have a public engagement portion on it before for people to come draw their own. So that's exciting. And hopefully people go by and watch him work.
well, it's great.
Kind of poor bikes though.
It's actually already looks better because we were there for so many years that like over time. It's already like looking, it's nice.
Did well by us.
It was nice. It was good. It was just there a long time. Yeah, looks good. So I got some fun news. Before I came to the meeting, we have a village historian. Villages don't actually have to have historians. The mayor would appoint a historian. January every year. Every historian does their own thing. Some do buildings, some do histories, some do about certain people, women, whatever. They're not history teachers, they're historians. People oftentimes confuse that. And her goal is to talk about the village and things that might be of interest and study it. So Joyce Rockhold is our village historian. And she called me up, and they mentioned too, she saw on social media that she has done a number of pieces, two of which were done by ABC, by a journalist at ABC, that she just found out today are both up for Emmys. So super excited for her. And the other one is called Lewis Brady Day. So super exciting. We do have other like Emmy and Tony winners actually who have lived in this village and actually still live in this village. So it's a very creative community. So it's really cool. In fact, it's the village historian adds a little coolness to it. So we're very excited about that. And thanks everybody. Safe July 4th, as hot as it was. It all worked out really well. Town, I think, did a great job, the village and the staff. So that was really great. It made it just under the rain. It was fantastic. It was really, really hot. So we were very happy with the police and our safety crews for really managing, crowd control. It's really hard to get through that in such a few days. We're ready to go. There's a lot of, you can come in now, which you can sit up here. We're also, okay, so also just to know the World Cup is still out there. And there's a lot of watch parties here in the village. Also, the county is having some, most of them are free if you register. So enjoy the rest of the worldwide event. Very exciting times. And we're ready to go to the meeting. The village manager is going to kick it off.
Hey, good evening, everyone. So first on our agenda, we have Dan Welsh, who's the director of Clean Power at Sequel Westchester. And I'd like to invite him.
So I'll just say, honestly, outward very greatly by this group here. If you want to go first, so they're not waiting through this, or whichever.
How long is your presentation?
It's maybe 10 minutes by the time we have.
Yeah, so it's the Youth Bureau, which I'm very familiar. I think it might be actually interesting for them to see it, but as long as we keep it in the 10 minutes. I don't generally like this.
So an educational component. So before we hear the Youth Bureau speak about their branding exercise, it's good for them to know what we're doing. So maintaining sustainability. So Dan has a new initiative, My Power for Sustainable Westchester, which has not been programmed for renewable energy, and he's here to tell us more about it.
Yeah, well, you captured the cover slide there. It is a new program meant to fill in the gap that we're seeing at the CCA. So Jamie is on this slides. And most of you are familiar with Sustainable Westchester, but for those who aren't, Sustainable Westchester is a nonprofit consortium of the municipalities in Westchester whose mission it is to help those member municipalities with their sustainability goals, with their energy goals, and so forth. It serves basically as kind of a shared service because not every the village or town can have an organization to do all these things. And on the right side, partnering with us on this program is the company by the name of Power Market, which some folks are also familiar with because they've been the technology platform behind the community solar program that many Ossining residents are participating in. And they're a mission-based outfit that wants to use their technology skills, again, to promote the expansion of renewable energy uptake. Slide. So the great thing about this is a simple program, and the name is pretty obvious too. It's Green My Power, and it's to do just that, to green individual participants' power. It's meant to fill in that gap to help with individual and municipal climate and energy goals, and provide an easy way to do that. Next slide. So the program is based around the purchase of RECs. And so that's probably the one sort of in the weeds part of this. There's another slide about RECs, that's for renewable energy certificates. And what it does is provides a way for individual residents and businesses to directly purchase these RECs. That's something that would have been under the hood with previous ways of buying renewable energy. Now we're giving people a way to do that by aggregating purchases. A REC, again, there would be more about this in the next slide, represents the injection of, pull I go back. The injection of 1 megawatt hour of power onto the grid, megawatt hours, 1,000 kilowatt. So it's kind of numbers that you see on the electricity bill. These renewable energy certificates are based on netting free, where power injection into the grid is reported, accounting system, and in this case, we're using the green heat system, kind of the gold standard for national RECs. And the program has been set up to, again, make it sort of simple to participate. The default participation is set up in terms of block, and those blocks being mapped to their housing sizes. So your apartment, $4 block is about right in terms of your consumption. If you're in kind of a normal single family home, maybe the $6 block. If you're in a larger home, such as you see in northern Westchester or these places, then you must go for the $12 block. So it's set out like that for use. But you also can ask to map directly to your usage, in which case you give your information about your account number, they graph your actual usage, and they all adjust it accordingly. And that's what would be done for a business too, because the businesses are all over the map in terms of their usage, from very small to very large. Next slide. So let's see if this works. Jamie, I don't know if you can click on that YouTube there, the 2-minute thing about RECs, and this will be the end of the weeds stuff.
I don't know if the sound is going to work. Just.
Oh, okay.
I can hear it here.
Well,
can you hear it?
No. All right. So forget that.
However, when you turn on where that electricity is.
Okay. Sorry. Oh, wrong one. My fault. Sorry. Oopsie daisy. Okay. We're back.
quick,
The sound was playing.
yeah,
Yeah.
good. One more try. And now we can't hear. Here we go. No matter where the electricity is generated, it's mixed together on the shared electricity grid, so it's all dumped in. When you turn on your lights or your TV, you pull some of that electricity out. Once the electricity is on the grid, there's no way to know where it came from. It's like a big soup. All electricity is the same when it gets on the grid. If you want to green your power though, you can do that with renewable energy certificates. These certificates are created each time 1 megawatt hour of renewable energy is put on the grid. And that's about what an average house uses in a month. The wind turbines or the solar panels are generating power. When they created enough electricity, that's when you register that one certificate. It's kind of an accounting method. Otherwise, who knows who put that into the system. That rec actually is capturing that environmental benefit of that bit of electricity and the avoidance of the smog causing pollution and all that. So all those benefits, you own them when you own the certificate. It's the system that's used to track that. And these certificates are used by companies, by states, and all the different institutions that want to track this stuff that's the only system that you can use really. They're the only way to know that this megawatt hour was put into the grid on your behalf. When you buy that, you're basically buying the rights to claim having done that beneficial thing. So because it's not a physical thing that you can grab, you need this accounting system. Country. And of course, the whole goal is to find a way to stimulate the renewable energy production. You want to compensate the folks that are doing this work, building solar plants, the wind plants, and helping us to expand that so that we can start to push out the dirty power that's on the grid. There you go. Sorry for the technology issue. Okay, next slide. So, that's helpful. So what the program boils down to in terms of the residents' experience or the business experience is basically a simple way to get back into supporting renewable energy. And on top of that, it will get our own personal access to a portal where they'll see their accumulated impacts. We'll get quarterly records of the purchases, what they call retirement. After you buy them, you have to retire them so that they can't be used again. And they also get priority access to the community solar program. There's new capacity that's coming online. This will be an opportunity to actually balance out the cost of the RECs so that it probably just ends up being zero. We're really happy that, as I said, there is new capacity coming online for that. So participants in the Green My Power program would get priority access to signing up for the community solar and increasing their impact, and also again possibly going down to zero in terms of the cost of the program. And again, another part of the benefits of the customers is that this known entity, us, they've been dealing with us for 10 years on the CCA. That it's a intermunicipal collaboration, so it's a little bit more comforting to customers to go rather than go their own and try and figure out a way to do this. Next slide. This is just to go back to reiterate that the program will be built on the Power Market platform. Basically, they took the community solar platform and then identified this program as a new product for the platform. So they're extending the platform. This is the first form that you see when you log into the system. It's like every web form you've ever seen. It's very quick and easy. So we're happy to have them. They've been a very reliable partner all these years. So we're convinced it's going to be very successful in that regard. Next slide. And as a community, we want this all to come together as sort of an aggregated thing as well. And so the community, each community will get their own landing page. There'll be the Village of Ossining landing page where the aggregated participation from the residents will be shown, the aggregated impact, these quarterly reports, and the Rex retired, and all that. So it'll be a visible thing to folks. Help sort of gamify the whole thing. There's also going to be a county-wide map where in the form that you're kind of seeing where it's kind of larger and smaller bubbles. There'll be per capita bubbles, so you're not competing on an absolute basis with the others. It's be more fair in that respect. And this will be a documented record of the good work that you're doing here, which is an extension of all the other amazing stuff that Ossing's done over the years. Next slide. And we're going out to a bunch of our sort of greener communities initially so that we can work with them, get the program launched, get some feedback from folks who are very familiar with this type of, with the electricity world and whatnot. And we're going to be developing outreach materials specific to each of the municipalities and are ready also to mail a letter out to the residents on the municipality's behalf. We would work with you on the text and whatever works in terms of that regard. As I say, it'd be important for us to work with municipalities to make sure that the messaging is working and there's no confusion about it. It's not the CCA, it's that. So, as I say, we're trying to move ahead with a few communities first to be able to accomplish that. Next slide. And as I said, it's a very simple thing in respect. It's not, there's no particular setup required by the village. It'll just be a matter of creating ideas on the outreach, utilizing your communication channels and whatnot. But there's no administrative duties or anything like that. It's a simple subscription service. We obviously want to work closely with you. Who the point of contact on coordinating on those things would be. But other than that, it's pretty simple for the municipality and just a matter of it sounds like a way for you to, as I say, to fill that gap that has been created and you're supportive of it. We would just look for some indication of that and put resolution up here, but a nod, go ahead, is probably enough too. Whatever you're comfortable with. So, and that is pretty much the program.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Any questions?
Yeah, I got a couple for you, appreciate it. Great. Who are the other municipalities that you reached out to?
Certainly the town, so in fact, I'm going to that meeting next week, so if there's, makes sense to coordinate, build a town, and if that's due for certain things and maybe not for other things, so that would be up to you. And we're going to Bedford at their August 11th meeting, and we're talking to Croton, we're talking to their sustainability committee people first. Lucy on, it's like an expert on all their stuff, so we're getting to these. And I reached out to Outridge, as they indicated at our annual meeting. This past annual meeting, they indicated an interest in it, and Lamary. what we can talk about now.
Got it, okay. I think you said that this one is 100% opt-in, like purely optional on the part.
That's right, so that's a real important thing for everybody to distinguish. So really, you know, in that sense, there's a big difference between this and the CCA in a couple of respects, right? We're getting off of the sort of market roller coaster with the energy industry. The rent price is stable. In fact, it'll be basically a year's price that's good for a year and the adjustment can be notified. But you know, so you're not doing that. You won't have questions of like people calling because they finally noticed on their bill or something like, oh, what's this? You know, so because it's all opt-in, they know they're. So it's really, you know, in that sense, it's a green premium product. The price right now is working out to about a penny a kilowatt, a little bit less than a penny a kilowatt. In the sense, you know, if you translate those $4 blocks, $6 blocks, et cetera. So it's a you know modest premium on your bill and on that kilowatt hour, I believe. You know, or 30 cents or something like that.
The energy cost is what, 14, delivers 25 or something.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that high, I think it was negotiated
It's a
down.
lot, it's a lot.
No, it's high, but I think it was negotiated on the ridiculous original price that they wanted.
So what do you need the village for in this? Because like, there's no, you know,
I think it's just a matter of, as I say, helping with communication channels, participating, you know, trying to blend it into your other sustainability things, because the green energy, obviously, if you're doing, energy efficiency work with your buildings, maybe working with our Energy Smart Homes group, it's always nice to tie all those things together. You're gonna electrify your building with heat pumps. You got clean energy, that means you negated the emissions for the heat pumps. It just helps complete the portfolio of products. So we would, you know, that makes sense to you, then you're sort of for a modicum of, you know, access to the communication channels and things like that.
that's a fair point.
Yeah, I had the same question with the follow-up of. I don't know what the product is, right? Like you keep talking about a product. You're a nonprofit, you don't really need us. You could, any nonprofit, say, can I be in your e-blast for 2 weeks to talk about this? I don't think people are gonna look and say, gee, it's replacing another program. That program wasn't successful. So, and part of it is the traumatized energy futures market that nobody could ever ride that forth.
Right.
It's supposed to save people money in the aggregate. I think Ossining was one of the first ones to sign up. We were like pioneers, and I said, oh, we may have been a trustee, but I remember probably in way the beginning of my tenure. We were very excited, but didn't turn out exactly. And I don't think people are gonna miss anything because I don't think they understood it all that well.
Although I
So
will say, the shutdown in December was very untimely, because in that particular case, we had done, you know, had beat the market significantly, and so we're pretty.
Yeah, you might know that, but I'm pretty sure 99.9% of people wouldn't. And, you know, people have to see a value to themselves.
Yeah.
Not a theoretical. And if I did the XY axis over a decade, not so sure that people are ahead of the game. It's not your fault. It's the energy market is highly volatile.
Sure.
That's it. That's the bottom line. I'm not quite sure what the product is. Not quite sure why the village needs to do anything. Nonprofits, you know, can send out their information through the village anytime. When the village gets involved, we endorse products, if we do it through us. That's a bit of a concern, because I can't actually repeat what you just presented, so I don't know what the product is. I don't see a savings to the consumer. So we're not clear about, there is no saving to the consumer, it's
It's
always going
It's
to be a
a
premium.
green premium. Yeah, in this
Right.
case. it's-
I mean, I personally, you probably know, I'm totally solar in my house, I drive all electric or hybrids, all good. I actually, save some money on my solar panels over the years that I've
Sure.
had it. And I save money on my cars because when gas prices fluctuate, mine doesn't, it's very steady. I would say there's a real benefit. And I think most people believe that to be the case for them. This is not an actual financial benefit to people. So that's something to think about, because there will always be a premium, it seems.
Yeah.
like. Okay, so, yes, I.
Unless you,
Question.
again, consider it together with the community solar opportunity, which.
Yeah, but that's like, we go back anyway. It's a big one, I mean, look, I love Sustainable Westchester, it's a nonprofit, I donate to it, doesn't matter to me, and I'm willing to pay a premium, but the number of people in this community that are willing to pay a premium or can pay a premium, is limited,
It's
right?
finite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's finite in every community, but certainly in middle class or low middle class or
Yeah.
whatever. The product itself is very hard to understand. And the communication is, I think, gonna be very difficult. So I'd like to understand more, I don't wanna do it tonight.
Okay.
Because I think I have to
No, that's
actually
fair.
understand all of this.
Yeah.
Because if somebody asked me, and the minute we send out mail that has our logo, it looks like it's coming from us. It doesn't matter that it isn't. In fact, I think that was one of the issues the village manager and I spoke about for a while. You guys would send out these letters. I'm not gonna say I'm the smartest person in our community, but I'm certainly not the dumbest, and I couldn't understand any of it.
I couldn't agree more,
Right.
that was when
And-
the DPS took over the.
Yeah,
writing of the
again,
letter.
We had a lot of input about that.
Yeah.
That didn't really land on anybody. So
Yes.
I'd like more explanation about who's actually doing communication and what the guardrails are, because if it's gonna be another, well, that's monitored by this or monitored by that. Sending communications to people who cannot understand the communication, to me, is just a pollution. Because all I did was take those envelopes and throw them in the garbage.
Yeah.
So we're actually creating pollution by an organization that shouldn't be creating that. So I'd be interested to hear who's putting the communication, what's the feedback? Because it sounds like a good
I think
idea.
the key is you pointing out is the product. Strictly speaking, it's Rex, right? And then now you're getting into trying to explain the Rex, which.
The rec is not a. Yeah. Right? I mean, I
It's
don't,
not.
the certificate doesn't really exist.
Um,
I mean, it's like,
it's not.
so if I bought 6 recs a month, is that the idea? If I spend $6, is that, gotta figure out.
Yeah.
And I feel good, I can sleep at night knowing that I'm incentivizing the creation of green energy by paying for it.
It's part of the finance structure that the renewable energy developers depend on. It's a slice to be able to fund these projects.
There's a way to track
Yeah.
who's creating the energy
Exactly.
and, yeah.
Yeah. And in
So
this
it's
case,
not like, get a certificate from there. So every 6, no, I mean, I don't know, like a railroad certificate, remember?
well, you'll get it electronic.
Oh, okay, so, and you just keep buying them every month, I get 6 and 6, and eventually over time I'll have thousands of these things.
Well,
Well,
you're
they're-
retired though.
Yeah.
You retire,
It
you retire.
basically goes with your supplies or.
So you're kind of paying in advance for this green energy to be created. I know, it seems like you're paying, because I have solar, but I'm not part of the community solar.
Yeah, I don't.
So I'm not sure how much
You're paying-
savings on my Con Ed bill I'm gonna see
From the community solar.
from this either.
Oh, you're not gonna see.
No, you're not
It's a- it's a-
you're not gonna-
It's.
So I'm just gonna have a little halo over my head because I'm doing a good thing. Right.
But she's saving the plan when she bought the solar.
Yeah.
Right? Like I did, or Geo, her house also. So it took longer to explain the rec.
Yes,
then your presentation. It's gonna take me longer as a representative of the public. I apologize also, there's only three of us, but everything is being recorded. And so our colleagues will see the summertime, the kids, vacations, you know. It's a little bit tougher to do the business meetings, from attendance point of view. They'll see it, just in case you were concerned about that. We're gonna have to think about this, and I'm not sure why we need to be the first ones in on this, Maggie. You know a lot about like all this stuff. Like, what are your thoughts? Maddie's our go-to environment person.
I think that as someone who during my time in the town and the village received a lot of the phone calls from folks who were part of the CCA and weren't really sure how to navigate it or bought a house and then 2 years later found out. I certainly can understand that there's hesitation about being involved in those communications. On the other side, though, I do think that, you know, for those of us who, you know, did get educated, and I'm not saying it was a huge proportion of the population, and I don't know if there's a tipping point, like you need 20% of households in the village to do this, or we can't be part of it anymore. I didn't hear anything like that.
I also didn't hear how many municipalities accepted something like this in order for this to go into effect.
Yeah,
There's no number.
It's a rolling start, and it will be countywide.
Okay, sorry.
No, I just think, you know, from my personal perspective, it sounds like a great idea, but with my village hat on, I think the communication thing is something we really can't afford to mess up again, so I would be particularly sensitive about that issue. But I do think that, you know, for those of us who have homes that have solar panels or, you know, who, you know, want to invest in a sustainable future in a meaningful way, this is a way that you can do it that's not gonna, you know, break the bank. I saw, you know, is it $4 a month or $4 per rep per month?
$4 a month.
Yeah, $4 per month. Apartment or $12 a month for a large home,
Or
right?
if,
So,
you know, if you already have solar panels and your residual electric bill is fairly small, then maybe you consider yourself like apartment level purchase to sort of match what's left.
yeah, so I think the halo effect is a good way to describe it. I mean, you're investing in something, you know, the returns on which you may not see in your immediate, you know, future or lifetime. But it's a nice thing to be able to do.
Well, I mean, it's part of the whole picture of promoting renewable energy and expanding this stuff, but that's always been, you know, making that connection between those benefits and your actions has always been a little bit of a challenge, but
Oh,
this one in particular.
not really. I mean, I feel not only good about driving my little Chevy electric car, I also save money. Much more, you know, it's like,
For sure.
I mean, you could buy a luxury electric and still feel great. Because then every time oil went up and you drive by and everybody's like paying, you know, $4 and $5 and you're paying like 5 cents,
Right.
you know, at home. There's an actual value.
Yeah.
In fact, arguably in California, the reason gas has been at the pumps well over $7 is because there are hundreds of studies that when you reach $7 in Western Europe or the United States, people go to electric. They almost feel stupid not buying electric, which is why there's so many electric cars.
Yeah.
They make, it's an actual pricing scenario.
That's very dark, actually.
It's because they're saving money.
Yeah.
Right, not. All the other stuff is secondary. Here, the primary seller is. I think we're using halo effect a little bit actually out of marketing context, but the idea of feeling better. I felt better when I paid a lot of money for solar panels. I feel even better every month when I pay $20 a month for my bill. Makes me feel even better about it. While my neighbors pay so much more. So there is an actual benefit. It's not just feeling good, it's both. That's a bigger seller to me. I don't really see a downside, Patty, from what you're describing. I just know that we get all the calls. And assigning a key person costs us money. It's not free. The idea that every time we get asked to do a project, which happens every Wednesday, or every other Wednesday, we get, if there's a person involved, their time is valuable because they're not working on other things. And I am concerned about communications because, all of our requests fell on deaf ears for the organization. I made that very clear to your last CEO. And then communicating in Spanish was really not done in a good way. It was a big part of our community. The other thing I would just add personally is the understanding between a home and an apartment. If I live in an apartment versus a house, I was under the impression that not everybody who lives in apartments, looking at you guys, because you actually know this stuff. Sometimes it's a landlord, right, and then they distribute. So I don't know how people have a decision about that. I mean, I would just like to understand more, you don't have to answer it. But I think we have a lot of apartments, people should understand how that works. Condo complexes, et cetera. It would just help to understand, it's not.
Actually, the
Yeah.
apartment thing is actually a little bit better situation relative to the CCA in as much as even if you don't have a bill. But I know, assuming it's electricity, I can still participate in this. I don't have to have.
Well, I think that just needs to be communicated and explained. I'm not sure it's done here. We have like 50% now to be 32%, I think, is now apartments to. In the town, I think there's lots of condos in relation to single family homes, just something to think about.
Okay.
So thank you for being here. It's nice seeing you.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the feedback. I think you're
Yeah.
absolutely right, the communication, the messaging, how to deploy this and how to connect with people on that. It's important. I'll take this back. and think
Yeah.
about it. And-
Also, I think if I heard Pat's questions correctly, it sounds like we're the first presentation.
You are.
Okay, so I look forward to hearing from some of the other municipalities, let's say when you do about 8 of them. Or 9, there's 45 municipalities, you're, I think in the CCA, you have like maybe 39 out of 45 participated in the county.
29.
Oh, okay, it's even less, okay,
Sorry.
and the county doesn't represent.
Right.
The county, right, they're their own entity, they don't represent us, they represent themselves, so they're like the 46th, which is fine. So I look forward to the conversations and the cumulative knowledge that you get from, Bedford, Cambridge, Croton, if you've been sleepy, they've had a lot of growth with apartments versus houses. And then we'll, I think, see where all of this is going, and then maybe you don't have to do a presentation, you get back to us and say, hey, this is sort of
I'll give you
the portfolio of information.
an
we got.
update and-
Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, that'll be great. I know all the great stuff that you guys are doing, so I thank you for all that. Have a great evening. All right,
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
Can I ask you a quick question? Was it tax or is there any tax credit for essentially participating in the program? Or
Yeah.
what I liked about it was you're looking at lowering the barrier to entry for everyday people. Solar panels, electric cars, that's a super high barrier, super up
Yeah.
cost that not the everyday person can do. But that doesn't mean the everyday person doesn't want to try, so I'm just curious if there's a.
Yeah, I think all that that process is pretty unique.
So I would, let me make a few statements. Number one, this is not a public meeting. So there's no Q and As. No. You're here, you asked a very good question. I'm like, well, it's okay. It's just a matter of precedent, because then other people will, well, she got to ask, how come I don't get that? It's a presentation by staff to the board, about projects, initiatives, resolutions, problems, budgets, whatever. The public, every week can come and listen, which is different than a Q and A. So no issue with them asking, but as we go through the evening, I just want to make it clear that that's not, from a protocol. From a different perspective, these microphones are really sensitive. If you move paper around, they're all over the room. It's a new system. We can hear, we can't, but it interferes because you can't speak over one another. It blocks out whoever is speaking. So if we can just, any conversation, just go outside now, and that would be great. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate, the time and looking forward to, looping back with you.
Great,
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dan. Next on our agenda, we have our Ossining Youth Bureau and our Youth Council. Along with their marketing mentor, Randy, and they're going to, and of course, Chima and Jeffrey, they're going to, and Chloe too. And then I'm probably missing other two guests. Okay. You can all introduce yourself, but I'm very excited to see this presentation. I mean, these guys have been working a long time with Randy on marketing. They've done a whole branding exercise, really learned a lot about corporate branding and logo generation. So welcome, and
Who's presenting?
a lot of us.
A lot of, okay,
a lot of it, but
So-
I just wanna make a comment.
1 second, Jamie? Does anybody have to stand anywhere specifically to be, or can they speak from their chairs? How is this
They,
working?
they can speak from their chairs. It's up to, whatever they're most comfortable with. They
so
might,
the
they might
camera
feel more
follows them.
comfortable from the podium just because that's a good spot to speak from.
Okay, but they can speak from anywhere, you just can't speak over anybody or interrupt, because then we can't hear anything, it's all being recorded, all of our meetings, there we go. Okay,
Okay,
from the chair or the podium, let's have it.
Alright, I just wanna say that, I'm very thankful for this group of, young people that have, invested a lot of time, lots of effort, under the leadership and, the guidance of, Samantha, Romeo, Jennifer, who's no longer here, and Randy, and Jeffrey as well. It's been amazing to see what they've been working on. As you know, 4 years ago, about 3.5 years ago when I got here, when I got here, there was a logo already that was created as part of the youth bureau. Now, moving forward from that time to now, we've made some remarkable progress. And so, a few years ago, the young people that we have as part of the youth council members have been talking about how we can perhaps reflect the progress that's been made to be able to capture and capture the entire group. And so what you're gonna hear this evening is the reasoning and the logic and why they like to move in that direction. And I just wanna say thank you, Ren, for all that you've been doing and what you continue to do. And with that being said, Mia and Aiden and all of the young people here, really appreciate you all for putting in effort to make our community a better place. So thank you. I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Okay,
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Samantha, and I am the coordinator of the youth council and the OES program at the school. And I'm also a youth counselor, and I've been here for this July will make 4 years. It's fine.
I was gonna say that. Wow.
And I'm really, really excited and I'm grateful to see how far the department has came. When I was first hired, I was so excited to get started and I'm still very excited 4 years in. So, we're going in the right direction.
Who's next?
So what we'll do is just, start the presentation with Mia. We'll start graphics. We're gonna start with graphics.
Should we go to the next slide, Jamie, next?
sure. I was gonna just say that when you guys want me to go to the next slide, you can just say slide.
Okay, so for this slide, this is just our mission statement. We're here for the community, we're here for the youth, and we want to stand by that when it comes to the transition that we're making into, rebranding and our logo change as well. Three of the things that we really want to involve in the logo is just connection, growth, and support, because that's what we give the community, and we kind of want to keep that and what is next for us.
Okay.
Slide. Hi, for those who don't know me, my name is Mia Scotty Domar.
Hi, Mia.
I've been a volunteer with the Youth Bureau for about 4 years, and I've been a staff member for 2 years. And I can personally attest to how magnificent it is, like the growth that we've had. This is the makeup for this year alone in terms of participation numbers. The thing I love to highlight the most is that water safety program. It's always our most in-demand program. That's where we give free swimming lessons to kids ages 1 through 18. But our second largest program was the youth employment program and the summer youth employment program. 69 kids employed in this town, and I think that's pretty amazing. And the majority of them are on public assistance. There's another grant we have that doesn't cover that and is more broader. And I see the effect it has on the community. I see the effect that it's had on me and the effects it's had on future youth who wanna be in a, who want to take my job someday in a way. And I find it fantastic just seeing how diverse our programming is as well. We of course have the youth council, and then we have Ossining Youth Engage in Success, which is an after-school program in AMD. I already talked about water safety, Grandpa's United, you may know that already, they were featured on ABC, I believe. And we have the Green Project, which is with E-Town and the Friends of the Old Croton Aqueduct, YAP. We had a motivation and wellness program this year, and we had a number of Earth Day Festival volunteers. We've had several events from the county and other youth bureaus been able to participate in. And we were able to this year, for the first time, go for the entirety of the overnight youth leadership summit at Albany. We've done like a day trip the past few years, but this is the first time in 2 days. We're extremely grateful for the village and also the Ossining Union Free School District and MBK, and people were seriously impressed that we were there. Our mayor, Rick Levin, was also the only mayor there at the summit, which had really caught people's attention. We were the first to speak with Senate Majority Leader Audrey Stewart-Cousins, and so we've really been able to prepare the youth for the world that they're entering. It's pretty amazing. Slide. Especially why this matters is because when we began the Youth Bureau, we were working with limited programming and limited grants, and so that also forced us to have a very small participant base, and we had to have like a very traditional outreach. We were sort of stuck in a bubble, but nowadays we're able to have multiple year-round programs that we can offer on a consistent basis, and that helps people know who we are and that we're a reliable institution from government. And we're able to have community engagement, not just within places like the schools or community-based organizations, but also with the businesses that we work with through the youth employment program. And again, other local organizations. And we've been able to serve hundreds of youth and families because our programs don't only benefit the youth, it benefits their families as well. I believe that it was either when we met with County Legislator Ulash or with the mayor that the youth employment program kids pointed out, what are they using their checks for? Some of these kids are saving up for college. Some of them are being able to have their own spending money for the first time. Some of them, they split the bills with their parents, so that way they're able to meet the cost of living in this county. So we've been able to grow so much, and now
You had the most fun one.
yeah.
The one that was taking his mother out for a big birthday celebration, which I thought
Yes,
was the
that's
sweetest one.
Yeah, me
Hopefully my
personally,
daughters will take a lesson there.
Yeah. me personally, I'm able to afford a lot of alcohol, thanks to, thanks to my job, and so that's a huge offset to my mom. And now that we have this more established identity and relationship to the community, we want this logo, that still led to some disconnection, to truly reflect us, to help us connect other organizations and families in the community who we truly are. Slide.
Yes.
So just to introduce myself to everyone, my name is Aiden Mendez, for those of you who do not know me. For those of you who already know me, hello. Nice to see you again. So I'd like to also add real quick before I address some of the things in the slide. As someone who just graduated high school alongside Mia, it's a wonderful opportunity to be employed by the Youth Bureau as a program assistant. As someone who's going to be commuting to SUNY Purchase, it's going to help me save on the only thing that is the thing that's kind of avoided as a cost of commuting to college: gas, maintenance on a car, the indirect costs. So it's a wonderful opportunity in terms of finances. It's even more of a wonderful opportunity in terms of connecting myself to different people such as yourselves. And as I dive into different circles and career paths to public service, as a service. I'm hoping to make this as mutually beneficial as possible to both myself as well as the Youth Bureau in terms of future partners and collaborators. So thank you all for having me. So what is our program looking like right now and what will be next for the Youth Bureau? So as of right now, we'll be maintaining the youth employment program to help our youth build skills and experience in careers. We will also be expanding our Grandpas United chapter and fostering more intergenerational mentorship and community engagement. And we will also be developing more programs that encourage the confidence and positivity with the development to help our youth thrive. Some of the upcoming programs that we'll be hosting this summer include the Summer Youth Employment Program, our OYEF program, which stands for Ossining Youth Engaged in Success, the Environmental Leaders of Color program, the Forge program, the Back to School Summer Festival, and the Futsal Youth Summer Soccer program. One thing I would like to add about the Back to School Summer Festival, as a participant in that as a volunteer last year, we had a very significant turnout with people from all different families, backgrounds, and languages, nationalities throughout Ossining. Especially as you mentioned before, Mayor Levin, we have a lot of lower middle class, even lower class citizens who need a lot of assistance as much as they can get. So any backpack, any pencil case, any folder that they can be receiving from any little bit that's donated from any corner of the village, of households, of non-for-profits, of corporations, every little bit counts. So I thank you and Mr. Santos for helping to host that. And another one of our priorities for our future goals and ambitions is the identity and design of the Youth Bureau. So a new consistent look and feel is supposed to be delivered by 2027. The publishing of our 2026 magazine report will be fully developed by the Ossining Youth Council and publicly released by January 4th, 2027.
I just want to say the magazine's great. I've seen it.
Thank you very much.
I used to work in magazines and it's awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Slide. So I'll step away from the echoing call, but I'll introduce myself for folks who don't know me already. My name is Romeo Montague. I'm a relatively new employee with the Ossining Youth Bureau. I started in February. I graduated from Ossining High School. I've been here for most of my life. So it's really fun, just fun, period. Dilute fun, just to be involved with the rec center, the youth, to go back into the high school, to see more kids grow up and be so enmeshed with all of these programs. I wish that I had when I was in high school. Of course, I'm gesturing this around, ignore the camera. And while I would love to hand you our new logo right now, a very wise person once told me to never give out anything that you cannot live with. From the concepts right now, a big thing that comes with an identity for a brand, a design, a logo is a consistent feel, a consistent look. So ranging from our magazine to our flyers, to the way our website looks, to the way our publications go out, it can't just be all over the place. So we're taking the time to really dedicate the ideation of having this logo set, having our typography set, having everything built in a way that we can, going forward, it's not something that we, employee-wise, have to worry about, and something that is smooth across the board. So in the new identity, a clean modern typography and color palette it works so much better for flyers, our magazine, our program materials, and for the logo specifically, we want to really focus on images and symbols that push forward ideas of growth, of education, of innovation, of youth, primarily youth first is our biggest theme. And in regards to youth, we've been working closely with the Austin Youth Council specifically, getting a lot of their feedback on the logo. And we wouldn't have gotten this far without them, and we are going to keep pushing with them. And I don't think a single step of the way is going to work without their hand in. At least with our logo specifically, I don't want to drag on it too much, but I think it's great. I think it's fantastic, but it just doesn't represent us properly. The typography in it, you cannot read it on certain levels. If you get it embroidered on something, it's very hard to read. And it's just a circle with a rainbow in it, and into a lot of confusion on who we actually are as an organization. If you see that, you can't say, oh, that's the Ossining Youth Bureau. That's just an Oculus, but someone doesn't have. Not a bad thing, but that kind of gives us the opportunity to have that fun and to really go full send into designing a logo that works for us, that represents Ossining, that represents our community, the people that we serve, and the youth that are a part of it. Slide. And we're pretty much starting exactly from scratch. That tiny little light bulb all the way in the right corner above the color palette and symbols with a purpose, that was the very first thing that preceded everything else. That was a doodle I made in the middle of a youth council meeting, and that's what it sent us for. That's not our focus right now. It is juvenile. The colors don't really match up well, but it's what pushed us off into this big project. Staff, Samantha, Mia, Chima, Jeffrey, and I, we meet regularly to make sure that we're on track with the ideation of the logo. Working with Randy now has been just a fantastic opportunity, considering my experience with graphic design. Having him alongside us really gives us a professional edge in getting this logo developed. And working with the kids as well, we kind of get feedback on what works and what doesn't in the eye of a teenager. I think this slide's too small. I apologize for that.
I'm sorry, it's a little hard to read, I think.
Yes.
But I
had
think
no
you
idea.
said most.
That's when we.
Well, yeah, we won't get this though. I think you can go now. You just said all of that, so I think we're good to go to the next one.
But for the most part, our timeline wise, we don't have something delivered.
So you're not showing us a new logo tonight?
No, we're not.
All right, so what is it that you all want from us? You're showing something to us about the Youth Bureau, what you guys have done, all very interesting. What is it that we can do to help you tonight? Is there something, a desired outcome from us sitting here, or is this an FYI? Is you want opinions, I mean, I think the information about Youth Bureau, it's like a presentation about the Youth Bureau, where you are today, all good. You know, colors are colors, with somebody thinks they're a great palette, somebody else doesn't, and some people like black and white, or gray tones, whatever. These are just things that people, for the three of us, we'll have three very different opinions, they're all right and they're all wrong, so you're not asking us, I don't think, for that. What are we being asked for tonight?
So I think the main, the point of having this, engagement tonight is, when we had this conversation with the village manager and Jamie, they felt that it was imperative that we come and, kick off the process by presenting to you all and let you all know that this is what we intend on doing. And so that there will be no surprises as we move forward, because at the end of it, it will be rolled out, so we don't want it to be any surprises with that, which you are.
Right, so to have no surprises, we would have to see another presentation after this, because otherwise, the next time we see it is when it's all done. So I think there has to be a plan in place. I'm not sure we need 20 minutes on this, but something.
The intent is to show the direction. So this demonstrates the direction and that they're going. And when we met with them originally, because the mayor and I did see some of the earlier iterations and talks. So and at the time we talked about having a public presentation to talk about the direction that it's going. And it's going in a great direction, so we're excited to see the final logo. And We do, there will be an ask next week though, because due to the success of the youth employment program, we have another opportunity to go for a year-round youth employment grant, or really a winter season, let's say.
I was gonna say, right, it's
Winter
winter and summer.
Winter season youth employment grant. So next week on the legislative agenda, we'll have a resolution to submit a grant request for that program.
Right,
And this was the program we did last year as well, that was approved.
the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a granted program.
Yeah.
So, for me, I'm sure you guys also, I mean, I love being about Youth Bureau. Actually, I'm gonna be speaking to you because I spoke to somebody about a program that they would like to do through youth bureaus throughout Westchester. And it's a free program, so I told her I was gonna see you tonight. So I'm always looking out, to see what we can do. I did a lot of branding, right? So for many years, for Fortune 50 companies. Branding has changed since when I did them, and et cetera. The thing that I would just suggest, is to look at other youth bureaus and other logos, because one of the things about logos is you wanna stand out. Color palettes, the more color you use, the more expensive it is to produce everything. And, digital, it doesn't stand out so much because, a lot of color isn't necessarily good or bad, it's just a lot of color. So the palettes, obviously you'll choose what you think makes sense. It has to read all the stuff you did, but I would say every youth bureau, there's nothing to me different about this being an Ossining Youth Bureau to being a youth bureau in the United States, so I would love to see some differentiation or not. Because if your idea is that you wanna look like the youth bureaus, we have a handful of them only in Westchester, and we wanna look like we're part of those youth bureaus, you should then present a logo that looks like the other ones, so that there's cohesion to all the youth bureaus. So you have to choose, do you wanna differentiate, do you wanna look? So I would suggest that is something you might want to look at, fewer words better, Nike. The swoosh is a great logo because they oftentimes don't even put their name on and everybody seems to know. And Verizon is not a real word. It was created 1980s, I think, 1980s. Well, he did marketing. So,
It was designed by an in-house designer for $350, I think.
Wow.
yeah, it was, which actually might have been real money there, but it was taken over by their ad agency. They took the credit and they then.
They actually gave her some stock eventually.
Yeah, they took most of the credit and made a ton of money on it, but the biggest complaint was Verizon's not actually a word, right? Nike is actually a word, Verizon is actually not a word. But that was the whole point, is to move away from the old AT&T, you probably don't even know what it stands for. It was a good company, still is, so I would just suggest that you hone in on points of differentiation. Do you wanna look like youth bureaus or do you wanna be different? I personally, as a mayor, would appreciate a little bit more, including in the book that you guys put out, that it not look like you're a standalone organization, because you're not. The Youth Bureau has been fought very hard by this board and the board before to be part of Ossining. The employees, the community center, and there doesn't seem to be so much of a connection, neither in the booklet that was put out, nor in, I don't know what the next one looks like. It starts looking like you guys are standalone nonprofit rather than a part of what I think is an amazing community. So my ask, and it's only an ask, it's not a command, I have nothing to say about any of this, is that it looks like a part of the community that has been supporting it, including its elected officials and staff. So that it's not as if it's like this nonprofit on its own. Open Doors is a nonprofit on its own, that's okay. Their CEO stands there, they're on page one, but this is part of a larger picture, including the fact that we fight very hard. As you know, because you've heard me say this, it's the only new youth bureau in Westchester County in the past 3 decades, which is longer than all of you have been alive. Almost as long as Chima's been alive. So those are just my comments. You can take them, you can throw them out, you can do whatever you want with it. I'm not married to any of this. I'm most married to the fact that it's been successful. beyond what we thought it would be. And it continues to be successful and talked about, and that to me is really the only important thing, is that more kids go to these programs, benefit from them with their parents, with their siblings, and we continue to the next generation. Some of you become alumni and come back and work at it. That's really what matters to me. But the other comments are just take them or leave them as you wish. And I appreciate you guys coming in. I actually thought we were gonna go see a logo, I'm just saying. I saw the agenda, I'm like, okay, yay, so just saying. I don't know if you.
No, I'm looking
You were there,
forward.
you were at the graduation ceremony the
I'm
other
looking
day.
forward to seeing what y'all come up with, you know, I think it's important to try and make sure it links somewhat to, you know, Ossining and kind of like some, you know, somehow, words or like some visual linkage from that perspective, right? I think that's important because, that, make sure it works in all the different communication channels.
It's done.
Well, that's a biggie.
No, I mean, seriously, right? It's,
You're not supposed to ask questions here, but based on that.
Oh, no, you're doing a presentation. You can ask questions.
Okay.
It's just
So-
that when somebody presents, it's not like a whole big thing.
So you've both commented on kind of syncing up more with the village, and does the village have a look and feel? Does the village have a design system?
Yeah, the village doesn't have to have a design system, that's not a system that municipalities necessarily use. Yonkers has one, New Rochelle, they paid a couple $1 million, they have like a whole thing in place. We can at some point brand the village, every year people want to brand the village. But the double arch is one of its insignia, the O, which the school uses and we use. The color of the O is part of the look and feel, and much of our material. And so, and some of the programs we have done, if you line them up, the colors being used for the community center, the colors on our signs. So there is some palettes, there is some similarities between us and the school, between us and the town. The double arch is actually in the village, but the town also uses it. And when we did not a logo, because municipalities don't study logo, but the treatment when we moved away from the Indian into another look, that was done 4 years ago. How long ago did we do?
2020.
No,
Six to
must be
seven,
6 years.
6 to 7.
60, it's been a while.
Okay.
7 years ago.
Okay, everything to me is like pre-COVID, I know it was pre-COVID, and we did all of the trucks and all of the whatever. We did actually look at that, similarly, villages don't sit around and say, oh, like, what is our strategic plan? Because municipalities are governments that react to the needs of the community, not necessarily, you know, cities do a little bit more of the branding thing. So I would say mostly yes, but done differently than a business or a nonprofit, which is a nonprofit business. There's definitely similarities in looks. The different logos that you see, the police, the firehouses, all that we don't approve those. I wouldn't ever approve them. I don't think they're good. But a lot of organizations create their own stuff. And yes, I know I'm being recorded, but it wouldn't be the first time they heard me say that. People go and create logos, and then you have to sit there and say, why are you creating a logo? I want to look different. I'm a committee. Yeah, you're a committee. So what? So what? That doesn't require logos. So I think it's a yes, about 80% of the time. Bigger cities do every 10 years do like some rebranding. You know, to me, they use $2 to $3 to $4 million in our community. I think there are better ways to use the money, frankly. I mean, personally, and while I'm mayor, that would be my vote. I think there are better ways to use that kind of money, because that's what it costs, by the way.
Well,
So, yeah, no, I know you are, but yeah, you asked a question, so. And your question's on public record. I want to do a public answer. So, if you could tie it in, and if you can't, you can't, but I mean, that's what we're asking. Do you have anything? Okay,
No, looking
You're
forward
good?
to seeing what
Yeah.
you come up with.
yeah,
Something
very exciting.
related to the,
Yeah.
what was specifically brought up, I'd love to get input as we were trying to figure out different designs and when we were trying to present to the council, we hit two specific dead ends. One, the youth don't recognize the double arch bridge, and so they're like, what does this connect to? So it's especially for one of our main target audiences, they had no clue and they didn't feel the
Target
connection.
audience is teens.
Well,
Okay.
that's where we have to recruit our.
So youth is teens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Teens. And then secondly, Maroon it's on the Village of Ossining website, it's color school uses. The youth were concerned that there would create confusion with the school rather than connecting to the village. And so what other symbolism could we incorporate that maybe can be more recognizable is my question.
So we actually did this also when we were looking at murals. So the riverfront, that's not necessarily just Austin, but it's river towns, right? So all the river towns have rivers. So that's recognizable. Some like Tarrytown use certain things in their town. The double arch, if it's not recognized by teens, then shame on the school system, because they're supposed to actually do a whole course about local geography, of which the double arch and the aqueduct should be taught, actually. So a little surprising to hear that, since it's supposed to be an actual course that they do. But that is one of the things, so the double arch is a unique thing to Austin. They just aren't that many of them. The windy road to the river, that's about, I would say, you don't have a corporation, you don't have a hospital, you don't have schools, some towns have that. So I would say the windy roads, the hill, river to river, those were, I didn't even know we had a bird. But there was a bird that we supposedly have, I don't know what it is. So that's not useful to anybody. So that I would say is part of it.
And we usually notice that I believe it was Yonkers and White Plains, they both incorporated like the image of like a person with their hands sort of like this out reaching, because that would make a Y. So of course, Y you hero. So that is what's getting in that weekend.
And the
that we
Ys
sort
do
of have to mentally think about.
And so Ys do that all over the country.
Yeah.
The YMCA's, the YW's, in many places around this country use that.
So that's a big that we try to keep in the back of our minds. And
Yeah.
also making, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we're still identifiable with Boston, because White Plains is very much so associated
Yeah.
with there. It's like the color matches up with whatever the White Plains uses. I saw their website and the Yonkers one, not necessarily, but it is on their village page quite prominently. So we want to make sure that we still bridge the
Right,
connection,
and-
because it's good for youth to also be aware of their local
Yeah.
government.
And look, I mean, I think some of it is also, Mark Twain had a great thing, spread with a great quote, which is writing the long novel is really easy. Short story takes forever. Condensing and limiting its editing is actually more of a challenge. And so you can't fit everything into a logo. And you can't then use lots of, can't read the words on a t-shirt or on a canvas bag or on a pen. So, that's why the project's a project. If I could do the project, I think I've done it. I'd actually put it in ChatGPT, see what we come up with as a logo. But, that's why it takes a little while. It takes thoughtfulness. Yeah, good luck.
I would just say, we started this process, maybe 8 months ago, or something like that, here. And I tried to explain to the students that creating a logo is part of creating identity. And identity is more than just the logo. And it's a development process. So we've been trying to use something called design thinking development process, which is a pretty well-known and standard development process. And we started with research. They did an amazing job. I don't know if we saw the surveys that were created digitally and put out. They've got input from well over 100 students. Not as many, we wanted to get community input as well. We didn't get quite as many. Those surveys can still be done. They can be done over. Amazing job. They informed the students. And we really started to talk about strategizing and thinking about what that research, gave us information. We kind of took a little bit of a break in that the same group started working on the magazine. So we spent several months on the magazine. So we're just kind of getting back to it. So we're really in the early iterative stages of design. So we know what our mission statement is, what our value statement is now. We've kind of codified that. And the design process is really just getting started. So it's gonna be, this is great input, some of the things that you brought up and some of the, you know, ideas about connecting with the village. We've thought about that a little bit. You know, we have to go back and forth with the students with their thinking on that as well, you know.
All good.
Yeah.
This is great stuff. And we understand where we're going. We appreciate the time. Karen, anything else? I think we're good. Yeah.
No, I think that's great. Thank you so much
Thanks,
for a great
guys.
presentation. You learned the most valuable thing about marketing and branding is you'll get a lot of input. So, but it will be great to see how Ossining is represented, what resonates with young people in Ossining. That has a whole nother perspective, so.
What might be good is maybe we go back to the drawing board a little bit on our objectives after hearing your input. And come back with kind of, redo of the objective statement. Because when we want you to then say, yeah, we agree with those objectives. Then when we come back with designs, we can, instead of it being subjective and you say, I like it or I don't like it, which we can't really react to, you can say, I don't think it works. I don't think it meets the objectives we talked about. So maybe getting a restatement of the objectives might be a good, quick next step. So that we all know what we're trying to, what the goal is. Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Sounds great.
Thank you very much.
Have a great night, you
And your
guys.
advice will be taken, you know.
It doesn't have to be. It's simply a person's opinion, but do with it as you wish.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
In a similar vein, we're gonna continue to
Oh,
discuss
What?
our next presentation. In a similar vein, we are going to be talking about artwork and Ossining and what resonates and what symbolizes and what will finally be on our public arts trim on the access hub.
Can we take a 2 minute or we'll take a 2 minute break when we get the water?
Bring the chair down. Oh, let's go from the light or some of the lights. I'm not sure, but.
Maddie, can you press mute on the owl?
Better?
Did you just, I just heard you were taking a break?
That helps.
Did I do it?
No, you turned it off. Do it one more time. Now you're good. You're muted. Thank you. But the camera is still on, so I'll come down there. I'll be there in a second.
Okay, while we wait for the presentation to be set up, our next topic is the artwork for the finalist submissions we got for artwork for the scrim that will be hung on the aqueduct hub, also known as our parking structure that's being built right now. We did get a total of 15 submissions. Some people did submit more than one version of artwork that could be considered. All were excellent, and it was a very hard time, difficult to make a decision. The placemaking committee spent a lot of time reviewing the artwork, and Dana will discuss that as soon as Jane's ready, and it looks like she's there. She's very quick, so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Trustee White to present the 4
You're right,
finalists.
there is glare. I'm gonna play with the lights a little bit, you go, Dana. It's these lights, so go ahead.
So Dana, this just, I was gonna tell you, this looks like the presentation. If you want me to click into the submissions, I'm happy to do that also.
The first one is from Claudio Tapia. These are all Westchester artists. That was one requirement, right, that they live in Westchester. This design is called Kill. And it is, of course, the Dutch word for creek. This mural is built, oh, by the way, the size is 1,740 square feet, so it's a big piece. And so this mural is built in 2 layers that have always coexisted in this place. Below, organic fluid color fields, water, stone, earth, and sky, the geological memory of the kill moving through time. Above, precise geometric lines tracing routes, paths, connections, the infrastructure of movement that defines the aqueduct hub, the bike routes, the trail, the connections that bring people through this corner of Ossining today. So this was one of our 4, very painterly kind of look. The next one is, okay, oh, I thought the next one would be, right there. Okay, all right. We have 2 from this artist. Her name is Margaret Inga Urias. She's actually born in Poland, but she lives in Westchester. She has an extensive CV of mural commissions and awards. She was a studio artist at Bethany Arts in 2025. She uses she researches sites, archives, historic maps, archival photographs, engineering drawings, which serve as reference points for reconstructing past environments and layering them with present and future conditions. This one is called the cartography of the Croton corridor. And as you can see, she has, I don't know if you can see, but she's taken pieces of maps of engineering drawings of the old Croton Aqueduct and the arch of the bridge and layered them with foliage and it's hard to see, but when you really get a good look at it, it's very striking, and it's like looking at a map through a forest. But it really kind of shows the whole Croton corridor, which is pretty cool. And then our next one is called Aqueduct Ecologies. And this one focuses on the native flora and fauna of the area. You can see the aqueduct, the double arch bridge, and then the flora and fauna are indigenous species, including the great blue heron, swallows, Luna moths, dragonflies, big brown bats, turkey vultures, also red maple trees near the arches. So this was a favorite of the placemaking committee. The thing to bear in mind is that, Karen, right, the scrim is going to be somewhat transparent. So you're gonna see behind it, the openings in the garage, right?
So it's the translucent, so if you look on the corner, you can see in the rendering, like you'll see a demarcation of color where the openings are for the garage, so. Everything will be somewhat translucent, anything behind the scrim will show through. At night, light will show through too, so it's just a consideration for how this will respond, you know. In reality. And we did go over this with our design experts that, who designed the facility and have done similar scrims on other buildings, so, they did feel that all the designs would work, but it's something that we do want to be conscious of, because it's not the same as just a static mural on a static background, there's gonna be
Have some life to it.
Yeah.
So I think we have one more. This next one is called Moving Forward, Wheels, Gears, and Water. And this is from the design team of Shannon Fury and Rochelle Udell Turshin, who happen to be with us tonight. So they've chosen wheels, gears, and water as a design motif for the aqueduct scrim. It symbolizes engineering innovation, ecological consciousness, and the power of collaboration as Ossining moves forward and enhances the quality of life for everyone. Wheels are one of our oldest symbols, representing not only mobility, but also nature, time, progress, and unity. Gears illustrate the interconnectedness of the complex system, teamwork, and innovation. And water is the foundation of life, reflecting the Hudson River and the constant flow of change. Wheels, gears, and water combine to drive something larger than anyone can do alone. It epitomizes our community moving forward while honoring our past. So that's the four of them. Can we see, is that bright enough? I don't know.
Do you want to maybe turn the lights off, just, I think you might.
You think off? Okay.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know how to do that, but okay.
The little ones, the two little ones, turn those off. The hash ones, yeah, there we go. Yeah, those are the
Do
ones.
I go back through them all in the dark?
They're a little bit easier to see.
Yeah, they're easier to see in the dark, so this is the brightest for sure, and the most graphic.
Did we see four?
Yeah, we saw four. But Jamie, you wanna go back and go through them again?
One.
So there's the kill.
Next.
Oh,
Two. Three.
The fourth one you saw already.
Yeah, we just saw that. Okay. All right, that's the presentation.
that's it.
So you mentioned that Dana White is the liaison to the place moving committee, which was.
Oh, yeah, just wait, can we just keep?
Just the two little ones probably would be
We'll
fun.
just sit in the dark.
Okay. So I know we have 3 out of the 5 folks here today. I think the 2 little ones,
What did I told you,
or the 1 little one. I bet just one, we don't need all. That's it. Okay, I got 1. I think that's enough. A lot of lighting in this one.
So I don't know how, we're missing 2 of our boards tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, folks. Thank you very much.
So I don't know how we're gonna make a decision tonight, or if we plan to, but without everybody here.
We are on a tight timetable.
Yeah.
This design has to be filled to the printer by the end of the month, so, that's why we extend everything to everybody. Well, in advance, so I don't know if the other board members have weighed in on their opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
So here's what I would just like to, from a context point of view, some staff looked at these, well, they looked at all of them. We had a meeting about a week or so ago, all the days are jumbled to me. Dana and I were in that meeting along with Karen. Really the only board member that's here tonight but was not at the meeting is you, Pat, so I'd like to hear from you before we say anything, and which these were the 4 finalists. The placement committee has a clear number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Anybody else can give us their opinions because, at the end, the board makes the final decision on this, so that's answer number one. Answer number two, we have to do it in a certain time. We could give the guys 24 more hours, I'll text them and say, I need an answer. Here's where we come out on this, here's our number one and number two, maybe if we brought it down to two, maybe. So that we're not all over the place, maybe, and then by tomorrow at 5, please give us an answer. Like, you know, but anybody in this room can comment on them, but Pat, I'd like you to go first, because most of us have seen it already, right, you know. I'd like to hear from you, and then we can maybe share what our thoughts are. And I don't know if we're thinking the same way, but we'll each give our thoughts. Any preference?
So, yeah, so a couple of thoughts, like one, I've gone through all of the submissions and read all of the kind of pieces, right? The one I actually liked the most didn't make it, it was in the initial email, but it didn't make the.
Which one was that? I'm just curious.
The one that was more a mosaic.
The mosaic, that came number one by by a bunch of people, actually, not the placemaking committee, however.
So I was like, that's one I liked the most. I thought the colors and the mix of the water and the wildlife and the arches I thought that was good. And I thought that when it was backlit at night, or even if like follow-up lighting from the front, I thought it would end up even in the evening look very like enlightening to the space back there, right? So for me, that was actually my first. I was a little disappointed to see it fell off the initial list of 4 that we saw.
The final,
You know why?
the final list of 4 is actually where we're at.
Right. But like there was an initial email that came out with the.
Yeah. Did you want to comment?
Oh, so we, the placemaking committee feels very strongly that our selections should not incorporate AI generative art at this point. And, you know, if we felt an entry did use that, we wanted to err on the side of human creation. I know it's controversial, but, the more we thought about how these were put together and the thoughtfulness of them and how they were done as opposed to other ways of doing it, that's what we wanted to, err on the side of, people created art.
Okay, was that stated up front in the RFP?
I'm not sure it was, but that was.
We did not specify that you could not use AI in the RFP.
Okay.
It was,
Totally separate
it
conversation
came up
around.
subsequent to the RFP. And there was a request to add it, but an RFP is, you really can't add anything to an
Once
RFP
it's out,
because
it's
you don't know where it went, so it's different than a bid. Where you know who's bidding on it, so there was really no way we could have effectively gotten that information out, subsequent, so it's probably more of an oversight or, you know.
Yeah,
Maybe,
you know, this is all new, okay? You know, this is a new thing. And the artistic community, there's a lot of controversy about it, and you can say it is a tool for creating, you know, images but it is also uses, images, and the technology goes and finds images and finds other things that other people have created and use them to create this other thing, right? And there's copyright issues. There's a lot of issues surrounding that. Placemaking committee felt that we wanted to not have our first one be an AI generated.
Okay, alright. We're ready to have further conversation. I mean, and I did notice that they all commented that they were digital artists, so, you know, I don't know where you draw the line there, right? So like, they actually describe themselves, like, Urias, Margaret, and the two, like, actually describe themselves as digital artists, so like, just
Well,
whatever.
digital artist doesn't mean that you
But
inherently use, digital art's been around for a long, long time. And it has to be digital art because it's being projected onto this, onto this,
Yeah, it's like I said, separate conversation, right, but that's big whole bunch of,
Yeah.
whole bunch of questions around changing the goalposts and stuff like that, no matter, so, is the scrim, I guess, is that what it's called, like the wire thing? How far off of the building is it?
How flush to the building might like, I'm not sure how much of a separation, but it's pretty much, I believe it's pretty flush to the building. Like, it doesn't stand out a lot from the building.
Have there? So one of the questions I had was could you go to like a graphic of one of the pictures?
Sure, one moment.
It doesn't matter which one. So where there's backlight through the parking space versus non-backlight versus the parking space. What's the perspective on how much of it, like, of a stripe perspective it's gonna give once the sun
So
goes down?
there's still gonna be light coming, there'll be exterior lights, so it'll be front lit too, so it's
Okay.
probably not gonna be dramatically different, but you will see it differently, and obviously, if the front lights are up, you're gonna see it in a more of a different kind of more stripey way, but we did discuss that with the designer, so it will be front lit as well as backlit, so
So we
you're gonna see a slight
See a little
difference,
bit,
but
little bit.
it's not really, it's be similar to the difference you'd see during
You
the day.
showed these things to that person that's
Yes.
involved with the lighting, who said that all of these pass.
Okay, so one of the things and maybe I'll go look, like there are actual pictures of other parking lots that have
They showed
used
us a
this
few.
same technology.
Yep.
The same, like, scrim type and
Right.
all that, 'cause I think this would personally be good to help visualize, right? Because bluntly, I think it makes a difference in terms of which one gets chosen,
So
in terms of like, how see-through is it
they will,
for the straight?
okay,
So,
so
yeah,
when we went through
they all pass. the
all of
test.
them, they said basically, all of them will work. Like, there's no, and the examples that we did see range, I can forward them out tomorrow morning. But they really ranged from a lot of graphic stuff to, just similar to what you've seen here, sort of a range of different types of art and techniques and things like that. So they didn't feel that, any one particular, there was, if there was any sort of like preference overall, Margaret Urias's, ones that were more monotone, we all had agreed that if those were selected, we want to see a little bit more contrast, because when you look close up, and probably when it's gonna be very large, you'll see the leaves and everything, but maybe needs a little sharper contrast with some of the colors, but that actually those muted tones and the monotone nature of it probably lend itself a little bit more to this treatment than some of the other brightly colored ones. But again, it was more of a,
I don't think
they
it's gonna
didn't
be.
really
And
feel like
again,
it was
it's at
that.
night, it's not during the day when people are walking, I mean, it's hard to,
Yeah,
X number of hours during the
Sorry,
day.
I wasn't part of the conversation, so.
Yeah, no,
Sorry,
it's all
I-
actually,
No,
the idea of actually, everything you're saying is exactly what, it wasn't really mentioned. Like, if we wanna make some changes, there's still room, like, oh, can you take this bird out and put this, like, there's still a little playroom, we just didn't
Yeah,
think
if you
the
go to
artists who
the,
aren't selected should go through all that work for free, like, like if we wanted to add like something here or take something out, color wise maybe, or contrast, they'll do, we just didn't feel it was right to ask artists to do more work.
We
Okay,
also, you
but
know,
we can if we don't like something or we
these
think.
were
it might
also
be better.
shared with, I think everyone except the Kill one, but I think it would be fine with it, with the Parks Department too, and, you know, they were.
State parks.
Yeah, New York State Parks, yes.
Yes, because this
Not
is on
part-
the aqueduct,
I mean,
so you're
we-
seeing it from the aqueduct.
I just want to clarify that our selection, AI generative was one component of what we took into consideration, as well as does the artist seem to have a knowledge of Ossining and the subject matter? Does the artist have images in there that don't relate to what we're talking about? Is it too busy? So, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and let you say that we move the goalposts. So I'm not gonna, but
Okay, I'm sorry, I was past that, sorry. I'm just talking about the sport. So for me, I think if I'm choosing, where'd it go? I'm actually a fan of, the cartography one.
Which is that?
the map,
The
map,
other,
the other version. Right,
This one.
that one, right, I like the way that it ties into the aqueduct and a little bit of a like relatively historical perspective, right? I like some of that. And, you know, if folks like the other one of hers with the ecologies, right? Like,
The ecology, there's the one we just had on.
with the birds,
Yeah.
right? I view that with the birds, right? So like the tones and everything are
Yeah.
similar. Like, and maybe, you know, you can add a couple to that, add some of the birds, but I mean, it's very, very different, right?
They're totally different
Totally different.
renditions of things, yeah.
Renditions, I think, but for me, for me, of the four, this is the one that
You like most.
I like the most.
Okay.
yeah, the placemaking committee also likes this one
They
and
like this
and
one
the other
also.
one of hers as well.
Yeah.
We were maybe the ones with the birds and the bats and everything, maybe bring a little more color into it. But I think this is very striking and when you see it large, you really understand what it is. It's hard on this scale to kind of really see the impact of it. But to me, it combines all of the things we wanted, which is history, aqueduct engineering, nature. And this artist has murals in Madison Square Garden. She has murals in Penn Station. She has murals around the city, South Street. She is very widely shown and is very well respected and is not her first mural.
Yeah, so I saw that, there's all the pictures and everything she put together, so. I will say, like, I'm really torn, I think they're both very close. I do, for the other one, the ecologies one with the birds. I do like the actual double arch in part in this one, because it actually ties to all our logos.
I like
From a
this
village
one too.
perspective, right? And
Yeah.
like it ties to
The
the fire
colors are the same,
department.
so
the
you like the
fire-
colors in both, yeah.
It ties to the fire department, the police department, it ties to the, like, the, you know, the logos from that perspective, right? So it does actually bring a sense of continuity to like the graphics, like with the conversation we were just having around the branding. Like this actually kind of ties in from a overall village branding perspective to me a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right, and so, like, if we have to go to two, I go to these two, right? And I can honestly be, I think I'd be okay with either, I could be swayed both ways, I'm giving you my pros for each one.
Okay.
Which, for this one, the tying to the overall brand, the village identity for me is actually kind of cool. Because of the double arch, how visible the double arches are.
Right. So, I like this one and I like the wheels and gears.
I like that one too.
And, so you said everything I like about this one. Yeah, the double aqueduct's the village, it's a town, ties into, it's facing the aqueduct, right? So if you stand where you're gonna look at this, it's very brick and brown parking lot. Even though we're gonna add greenery to this, it's still a massive concrete.
Yeah.
Not massive in any other place, but in that part of town, and you're in the back of your parking lots, community centers on the other side, another sort of brickish building. I just think when you walk by the aqueduct and this is the center, it's not where the entrance is actually, the entrance is, it's like on the other side. I think it adds a lot of color. I didn't get, and I still don't, the one that you like in the placemaking with the details, cause I don't think people are gonna stand there and make the connection to the history and all that. You did and they did, I didn't, so I'm not gonna like it, cause I didn't make the connection, I still don't. To me, I love the colors in both, so the color speak, I love the location and the double arch, it makes you feel like you wanna jump, for me, I wanna jump into that picture, and the fact that it's big just takes a very urban look and really makes it more, once we have landscaping, that might help, but it's never gonna replace all the trees or all the whatever. And where it's located, if we're located somewhere else, I don't know, maybe I feel differently. I don't get the history part except for the double arch, but I didn't get the history part from the other one either, so that's like a net neutral for me. The reason I like the wheels and gears, if you could put that on, Jamie. The same thing I told the kids with branding, we can have this discussion for 4 hours, but because the art is art. And people who tell me they're experts in whatever, that's all fine, but it's art, is art, and it's personal to people. I like the whole storyline here, I like the gears, I like the fact that it's a parking garage, I like the mechanical, the gears. I see in this picture immediately, I saw the double arch, I don't know if everybody does, but I do. I like the fact that it's got lots of colors in it, I think it'll go well with the interior colors of the parking lot, which will be different palettes on each floor. I like that connection to it, I like the fact that we're gonna have an e-bike place and it's wheels and gears. I like that it's forward and it feels forward, the other one doesn't feel forward, the other one
What do you
makes
think of
me.
the colors?
I'm sorry?
The colors.
Well, do you not like the colors?
Oh, no, they're,
I
like, it's a very, very different looking.
It's a different look and feel, it feels more forward.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel history, although gears are old, and so that adds a little bit. And I liked it the second I saw it, and I actually got it the second I saw it, so for me, this is like my top two. Is this one and the other one. The first one, because I wanna jump in and it makes me feel like it's airy, it's birds, it's ecology. This one just feels like it's a parking garage and e-bike place. And it's the double arches and it's modern and forward looking. It's a totally different feel.
Here is from, we actually went down into the weir chamber and there's gears in there for the.
And it's on the aqueduct, which by the way, has a lot of that kind of stuff when it was built. I could see either one of those for totally different reasons.
Yeah.
I think this is very different and very creative in my mind, so.
I'm a fan of
I
this
think,
one as well.
are you? So I
Yeah,
could
the
go
two,
with
those
those
two.
You like the same two that I like?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With
I didn't know that.
with the
I didn't
ecology, you
realize
like the
that.
ecology
I
version?
like the ecology one.
With the
I
birds,
think the photography one makes you work a little harder to understand it, but I just love all the old maps and stuff, but.
Yeah, but I do too, right? And
Yeah.
being the engineer for me, like that.
Yeah.
that
I get that.
reaction, I've got a big map on the wall of Ossining, like.
That's cool.
Talk to, right, so.
Hey, So, you sat actually in on this meeting, we're just going through the 4 finalists for the parking and the 2 that.
Sit over here.
So you and I both like the same 2, Dan?
Yeah, you like, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't have a preference, I'm
You
just
know,
gonna
if
say.
you wanted more color in the green one, you could ask her. She's, said very open to making any changes.
Yeah,
that we-
but I think they would too, if we wanted to match the palette.
Yeah, I mean.
We just didn't want anybody doing more work.
What are the level colors inside?
So we picked colors that are the same Pantone, as close as possible to the glow planters. And those are all colors that are in the same family, so you could probably easily modify those colors so that they would match the interior colors.
Got it.
Each floor would be a set, so there'd be 4 separate colors that.
So they might just match this palette.
Yeah, so we could make it so it won't clash.
How long are these screens supposed to last?
10 to 15 years,
And who's maintaining them?
we are.
Whatever that means. Maybe
Well-
the goes down once in a while, I don't know.
The issue has come up with the mural, so it's important.
Which is why
to
we're
know.
not doing the mural.
No, it's the issues coming up at that mural, so who's maintaining it?
Right.
So
So that's why I asked this question.
one of the things that came up, again, when we talked to the people who do this for a living, is these will fade. So sort of the lighter the colors, the less you're gonna see the fade. So that is a consideration, because these will fade over time.
So interesting.
Yeah, that, the brighter it is, the more it'll fade.
So brighter than more it'll say, but the brighter it'll be.
Yeah.
It will, again, the brighter won't, it will fade. So there was, again, they thought that the more muted colors that were in the Urias ones, and again, this is not a judgment on the art or the theme or what, anything, it's that those might not show the, might not be as apparent over time.
Right.
But again, not necessarily,
Yeah.
But we're expecting it to have a life of 10 to 15 years.
mhm.
They're not painted on the cement, I guess is what this is,
Yeah.
but on a material, and at some
It's a
point.
canvas, it's basically a huge canvas.
Huge canvas.
Huge thing.
Liz, we liked we're down to, out of the 4, the 2 are gonna be
Angel's gonna hang the.
you remember the one with the birds with all the trees and all that?
Mhm.
Done by the same artist that did the other one that looked like it was graphic, not
The
graphic, but matte, same artist.
No.
So we like the one with the
Maybe
birds
holding
and
the
trees and
center
then this
line,
one.
it gets
The
printed.
two
If
of
there's
us.
any, for whoever's else is talking with the mayor, I can't tell who, but can we only have one person? Sorry, I
We
just,
had to ask for 2 more different choices.
And then Pat likes the,
I like the cartography version.
and the birds.
And the-
So you like the same artist too?
I like the same version of the 2.
Okay, the other 2 boards aren't here. And so we're gonna give them 24 hours or so. I'm gonna tell them what we said, the 2 of us like these 2, one of us likes. Like, one of them has to be votes in a sense, and they need to sort of weigh in, on these 2 final things, ASAP, by, I don't know, whatever time tomorrow, so we can make decisions. Which ones did you like? I don't remember. You like the one with the birds and the.
I like both of those also.
You like this one and the other one?
Mhm.
Okay.
I like the idea of a mural, of the,
Swim, the fabric? No.
Maps.
no, the little tiles, mosaic.
Oh, you like the mosaic?
I like the
so that's
idea of
what
a
Pat's
mosaic,
like.
but I did hear what the placemaking committee was talking about.
Right, and their opinion about it.
Yeah, so I heard that and I think it, could be warranted, but, either way.
All right,
So
so
of the four that are here, you like the 2 from.
you like this one and the one with the birds and?
Yeah.
Okay,
One with
This
the big
one or
bush
this-
and then it went with the,
Jamie, can you just go to the other 2?
I don't
again?
know, what was it called, ecology and birds or something? No, this one.
Yeah.
Okay,
I call that the one with the bush in the front.
Okay.
Okay. got it.
Bush in the front, it's called ecology and birds or something.
I mean, I don't know if there's any way the artist could incorporate a piece of the map one, like the drawing of the.
I think
There's
they're
such
completing
different
the concept.
Yeah, the
The
concept.
concepts are so, which is nice that she was able to come up with totally two different concepts, use similar
Yeah,
colors.
The third one.
Yeah, no, that's, I think it's great. Okay, so I think we're down to a couple. Let's send it back to
Okay.
deputy mayor and to trustee Fritchie and say, we need you to choose.
Okay.
Here's where the vote is right now, and they can also look at this. Any other comments that we should think about, know about, whatever? These things are always tough because.
Well, it's
all-
totally objective.
Yeah, it's hard, it's very like, you know, it's like choosing colors.
Subjective.
Yeah.
Subjective.
It's hard to have a lot of good.
Highly
things.
subjective.
It is a lot of good things
And
to
we
choose
have a
from.
lot of good talent and a lot of good things to
Right.
choose. There's
And
no
it's
bad
big.
choice here. They're all great.
No, they're all.
And they're all big, and as far as maintenance, I think the answer, because you guys told me, we were talking, so I think here, the maintenance is gonna be done
So
by.
just to be clear, all the artist has to do is give a digital file in the format that they've requested. That's it, they're done after that. We get to, we tweak the colors, we finalize that. They give us a digital file. That's the last thing that the artist does.
I'm a pain in the ass to ask the other questions.
It's-
That's why I asked.
It will be then printed.
It's like a
And
big
it's a
canvas
specific-
poster.
Understood,
Yeah.
but if I'm drafting the contract, I
Yeah.
just wanna make sure
Yeah,
All they're
who
doing
has their
is
responsibilities.
they submit the artwork on it in a digital format. It's a very specific format. They have all the specs. We'll make sure that, you know, and then we'll make sure that's all done. It goes to a very specific printer who prints on a very specific material and then hangs it. Antron will be hanging it. The artist really is done after they submit the digital file.
Okay, and, so we'll have to just at the end decide whether we want a little change here or a little change there. That's gonna be up to us.
Yeah, so if we could maybe just like get this wrapped up maybe by the end of the week and then we should.
Do you want me to write the note to the trustees, or are you gonna write it to them and say? Jamie can give
Maybe we
you.
can text them because I don't know if they're checking emails and
I'll text them. And Jamie, if you can give me what time, well, I guess I could tell them it was around 9 o'clock, they can start listening into this. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we still have a bit more to go, but right now we have, and again, probably for keeping our consultants waiting, we have Linda Whitehead here and Val Ignacia to take us to part two of small scale zoning. Just to change it up a little bit, we've been talking about double arches and branding and art for a while, so now we're gonna take a departure and go into small scale zoning.
Now the exciting stuff, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Saving the best for last.
Even they believe that.
So do we want to go through the agenda? That Jamie, I think there's a PowerPoint presentation, no, just to kind of get us through from one subject to another, so I think that probably.
Okay, well, do you know, what is it called?
It's the first one, proposed small scale zoning changes July.
You got it.
We have Lyndon Valerie on the
Yes.
screen.
I can.
Oh, close up, okay, oh. For your entertainment.
There you go. All right, so I'm gonna, I know what the first slide is. You can go to the second slide, Jamie. All right, so we're back to this exceptions, setback requirements, and I apologize for bringing this back. But at the last meeting, Mayor, I know you weren't at the meeting. At the last meeting, the board decided, that we are gonna focus on we make the setback exemptions for replacement or reconstruction of exteriors of stairs, stair landings and ramps. Originally, we had proposed language that had up to a 2-foot setback. The board decided that they would prefer to have just a blanket replacement, reconstruction of stairs to allow for that encroachment onto the setback, no matter what whether it's 2 feet, 1 feet, or up to the property line. When I was at the board meeting, the board also decided, let's just put this into the administrative adjustment section in the zoning, which basically allows for, and it just, as it says, an administrative adjustment through the building department, and it doesn't necessarily have to go to the zoning board of appeals. When we looked at that section in the zoning, I contacted Stuart because that section actually requires you to do a neighbor notification and have a 30-day wait time before the administrative adjustment can actually take effect. So that is not making things more simple or more efficient in terms of like, property owner wanting to just replace their stairs. So we are.
This is all about stairs?
This is just about
All
stairs, just stairs. So we are recommending to put it back into the exceptions. There's a specific section in the zoning that says exceptions to yard requirements. And we're just gonna place it there so that when the building department gets an application for stairs, they know it's an exception. They do not have to go to the zoning board of appeals. They can continue proceeding with the building.
I can add to that, the zoning board's position.
Yeah,
Um,
that is.
So the zoning board is the one that is really pushing for this. The number of applications that the zoning board gets for stairs that need front and or side yard setback variances, just so someone can get into their house. It's been an issue for a number of years, and that's why they were really looking for this change. The zoning board indicated, I think you got a memo,
Last time, yes.
that was prepared, that came from the zoning board. They didn't want this to be only replacement or reconstruction, they wanted it for any time that stairs, are necessary, for access into building. Which is generally what these are because of the grade changes and such. And then also recommended adding a definition of landing to make sure. And Valerie has put that definition
Yes.
into this draft.
Right.
Because we're saying for stairs and or landing, so this is to make it very clear that landing means part of the stairs.
Yeah.
So, that's the, main issue for the zoning board is they would prefer this not be limited to replacement or reconstruction.
And at the last village board work session, when we talked about this, when mayor wasn't there, but at that point in time, the village board's direction was they only wanted to see it for replacement. So that's where we are. So we'd like, open for conversation and the other amendments, but we're recommending just to keep this particular section into the
I'm
exception.
personally, I'm personally in agreement with the decision the board made.
To keep it.
I understand the concept, I understand what they're saying. I'm in agreement with what the board minus me, decided or went forward with. Katarina, any other comments, like where are you guys on this?
Anything that streamlines and simplifies the process is fine.
Yes.
You're
That-
good with
that-
this,
that makes sense.
saying,
I think the only second, what thought that I had, so I was reading stuff the other day. And this is kind of a legal interpretation question, actually, like, by allowing the stairs to go up to a property line. We're saying that in order to use the stairs, somebody must go to the other property.
It's typically in the
Is
front
that-
yard, so it's coming off the sidewalk.
but what if it doesn't, is what he's saying, what if it's going? Like,
What if it's going to the side yard setback?
does that ever happen?
So most of the times when it's a side yard issue, it's because you have an older house on a non-conforming lot. Where the existing house doesn't meet the side yard setbacks. And the stairs are to one side, so they have to be they have to be where the house is.
Yeah.
So they end up being in the side yard setback, very often it will require both a front and a. So,
Okay, so what I hear you saying is that it's really not
It's not
Not-
coming
not-
from
not-
somebody
not-
else's
not
property.
That's where I was going, like, if the stairs went this way, you have to actually go into somebody else's property, but that's not really.
No, typically,
The
the stairs
landing
are
go-
going
the
straight
landing-
out, but
The
it's.
landing goes up to the property line and it's down, like parallel, okay.
Maddie and I have both seen the zoning board sort of deal with these over and over and
Yeah.
over.
But I don't think anybody was saying we didn't want to do this.
Yeah.
Right, but the replacement's just something, these things, just let them do it, like, fix it.
And the majority of these, the vast majority that they do see are replaced.
So if there wasn't a staircase there, that doesn't fall into this category.
That's
This is not for new ones, this is only if one exists.
Only for
Existed,
replacement or
and you
reconstruction.
prove that it existed, and now you are replacing it because it's broken down. I mean, I don't want anything new, because our community says you rebuild the ones. So, this is a total replacement, like replacing a roof, replacing a window, replacing a door, replacing something that exists shouldn't be so difficult. You're just trying to fix something.
We're seeing a lot of these, with some of the older houses that had older wood staircases. They're
After the weather, whatever, use, okay. So I think you have an answer.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Jamie, next one. The next topic, oh no, next slide, sorry, Jamie. All right, so the next topic is gonna be miniature storage pods and portable storage containers. This was something that was recommended by the building department. We did have an initial conversation a number of months ago on this. I think trustee Yost had some concerns with expanding the period of time to allow for a number of months to accommodate for people that might be moving or have kids at home for college for a couple months. And then also, I think there was a little bit of feedback on making sure that the containers are large enough size that it would accommodate your typical like contractor container that you see if somebody's doing construction. And that there's a carve out specifically for construction, work and building permit work, so that you didn't necessarily have that issue. I think part of it is that the building department wants to be able to, issue violations for people or properties that have these containers there for a very long period.
Yeah, there's a few properties that have had them for like more than 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on in. You use the word, yeah, sure. You use the word mini, but it's mini is not actually up here. You said mini?
Yeah,
storage
in
pods?
in the proposed zoning, I have miniature storage pods or portable storage containers. I mean, I can just remove that, all storage pods.
I just don't know if that's like a legal term. Mini.
No, it's
Does that mean it's a certain size, acceptable industry size, or that's just like?
No,
Okay. If it doesn't mean anything,
The
yeah.
size is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't know if this was something different than I'm looking at. Okay. So what's the question?
If anybody has any comments on the proposed, potential proposal.
Two things for me, right?
Mhm.
Can we put something in here which states that they cannot be hooked up to power?
Yeah.
What can't be hooked up to?
The pod.
The ponds.
The pod.
So you can't live in it?
Yep.
And look how quickly that came around.
Hey, there's been a pod sitting on Amiral Avenue for about a year.
Yep.
A year.
Have you seen that one?
Yep, I drive by it every day.
Somebody live
Up the
But-
street
but-
from me, there's one for 5 years.
But to me, that's just one thing, it's a violation of so much power, right? This is for storage, it's not for anything else, don't need power, right? If you wanna go in there at night, use a flashlight. Right? It's kind of like.
That makes sense.
No, we're cool with this.
All right.
Cool.
And then the second one is there a way to? I like the not exceed 90 consecutive days. I'd like to take away the opportunity to go 90, 10 off, 90 back.
It's 90 consecutive within a 12-month period.
Right.
So
So
you're
you
not
can't-
gonna be able to go 90 off and then another 90. It's
You'd have
90
to wait a
within a
year.
12-month period.
Yeah, you
So
have
you
to
gotta
wait a year.
It's 90 consecutive in a 12-month period. You can't do 90, take a day off, then do another 90, because that would be 180 essentially in a 12-month period.
Consecutive days. For a period not to exceed 90 consecutive days.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
If you
You're
can
saying
have
if somebody
two
does
90s.
like 20 days and then takes it away and then starts 20 days again.
Just say,
Yeah.
So just that
Say 90
language.
days.
yeah,
You can
just
get rid of the word
say up
consecutive.
to 90.
Yeah.
Up to 90 days.
90 days in a 12-month period.
So maybe that's like take away consecutive,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Now, that means you gotta keep track of it and stuff, but
Right.
still, it's kind of like.
So you could do 30 days, then nothing for 6 months, another 30 days, nothing for a month, another 30 days. That would that would also work.
That's correct.
Or could you say one period of up to 90 days during the duration?
It kind of like.
Because otherwise we're gonna be going out there and like, okay, wait, what is it?
It's not like,
I'm trying to keep it simple.
we're now
No, I
going
think
into,
you're right.
what can we, now we're talking not about what the content is, but how can we enforce something?
Right.
Right.
And
So-
I think Pat is suggesting it'll be impossible to enforce this other way.
The
How
multiple, the
how do we
multiple.
know when the clock starts? Like, who's gonna know?
I mean.
Like, how do we know what's day one on any of this?
Right, we don't, right, I think this is really I think the crux of this is that if somebody calls the building department and says, you know, our neighbors had a storage pod for a while, but they can start,
You
you
can
know.
start a clock.
They can start a clock.
Start a clock, and then, so.
Like the ones that you know have been there a year, 5 years, you know,
Oh, mine's 5
you know,
years.
yeah.
And I don't know why it's there, the house is huge.
Yeah, so what I was getting at was, it says a period not to exceed 90 consecutive. That, I was interpreting that as a period, the maximum that can be there is 90 days. But then if it comes off, if it comes off for the 10 days, if it comes off, do you start another 90?
No, that's not how I would interpret it.
Okay, then
You have 90 days in 1 year, that's it.
In the
Okay,
12-month
alright.
period.
12 months.
But but the way I would read that, if it's up to 90 days, if you had it for 10 days, consecutive days, and you didn't need it anymore, you still have,
Another 80.
you still can't, no,
You
you
max,
still,
you max at 90,
you max at 90, but.
max at 90.
The way it reads now.
But I think we should also try to discourage people from taking 9 different bites at the apple, right? I mean, like, I think.
I don't know why anybody would do that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, because then you have to re-rent them and everything.
Yeah, you might
The
take- you might take-
cost.
Well,
I might take-
I actually think it's actually very reasonable that somebody would do it, because I think you're doing some work. You need the storage. And it's 30 days or 45, and 6 months later, you're continuing with something. Like, a lot of construction and a lot of stuff is done seasonally, you wanna wait for the next nice weather. I actually could see somebody doing 30 days and then
Another 30.
and the 30 a little bit later, when maybe.
They're doing a different project.
Yeah, because people look at their house and go this, or their kids from college come home and they have to rearrange things, or people are moving in with them. I do actually envision, I don't envision every 10 days, but I envision like even seasonality, you're waiting for better weather, you can't work in the winter, like that kind of thing.
So up to 90 days, not
So it makes sense.
consecutive.
Right.
Yeah.
Up to 90 days in a 12-month.
Yeah, I think you understand, but, you know, and I bet, and the other, those are my.
The question is the enforceability of it for me, so we don't want people taking out permits, we don't wanna make this a miserable experience for people. So I think maybe we can ask Joe or people mad in the department, what would be a way to enforce it, short of making people fill out paperwork and all that?
Well, I think, let's, you know, how big an issue is the issue of people, you know, that you have these sort of anomaly issues where somebody has one for 5 years or over a year, is that like, that's not a pervasive issue in the village?
Maybe it
Or-
doesn't.
What?
Maybe it
It's
doesn't.
enough that I think the building department needs.
A dozen.
Yes.
But still,
But
it
if they
doesn't,
see them, they can start a clock.
they can start a clock on something.
I would say a dozen is about right.
Okay, but probably for perfection, enemy of the good here, if somebody has it,
Right.
you know,
The
maybe
building
they had it
department-
for a month before anybody complained. The building department can only go by what they see. They start the clock at 90 days. Okay, so they got an extra month, but at least they don't have it there for a
No, no,
year or 2
understood.
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We're
fine.
heading in the right direction.
That's fine.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
long
you're
as-
At
right.
least they have
That's also
something they
fine.
can hang their hat on right now, they have.
These are not,
Yeah, that's-
these are not construction bins where
No,
somebody's
these
doing
are-
something and
the-
it's their
the one on-
leak and their construction,
The one on
construction
the
guy
rail
takes it
is-
away. That's not what this is. Okay. Next.
Okay.
All right, so the next item, Jamie, you can just go to the next one, is parking revisions. All right, so there's a couple key things with these parking revisions that we're proposing. It's really more, not necessarily parking standards, but parking process. The first is, we're recommending removing the payment in lieu of parking, the ability for payment in lieu of parking for the neighborhood center two zoning district. That is the zoning district that, you know, has along Croton Avenue. One of the applications recently before this board, 171 Croton Avenue. The reason originally currently the Village Center, Station Plaza North and NC2, which is the neighborhood center two zoning districts, were in the payment in lieu of parking program. Because originally those three zoning districts had that blanket parking waiver. And so the first phase was to move from a blanket parking waiver to now having a payment in lieu of parking and still allowing a little bit of a waiver, but to a larger extent, you have to provide parking or you pay in lieu of parking. Based upon the way the payment in lieu of parking program has been rolling out and some of the recent applications coming in for payment in lieu of parking, we're recommending that the NC2 district just be removed from that option, and that means that an applicant needs to either seek a variance from the zoning board of appeals to get to vary for parking, or they have to provide it on site, and they don't get the option of paying in lieu of parking. Mostly because of the locations of the NC2 district tends to be in more dense areas. And also in areas where you don't have a lot of public parking already available for those.
So am I hearing you right, that this is really, you wanna build more, provide parking, you
Yeah.
can't pay out of it.
Yes.
And you can't, what you can build on your property is going to be dictated to some extent by how much parking you can pay.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's
what we
the
discussed
application
a
you
couple weeks
saw
ago.
before you, that's the problem. They're trying to put too much
Right,
on that piece of property, they can't provide the parking,
so they think they'll.
but there's nowhere else for them to park. There's a parking problem in the area.
The second thing we wanna also amend in this section is prohibiting parking of vehicles in the front yard unless in a driveway.
8 years later, baby.
Right. So,
Well,
I have lived long enough.
this isn't front lawn, right?
Wait, okay.
well,
Yeah.
Let's go keep
No,
front
it
yard
is-
and front lawn.
so
Oh, those are two different things, okay.
we do have, well, this does specifically require, I'm gonna just pull up the section.
You want me to stop sharing,
So
Valerie?
you can just, I'm just gonna read it out loud, I think it's gonna be
Okay.
easier. So the section specifically says, except for one or two family dwellings. Oh no. Sorry, let me just find it, I apologize.
I did have a question about that section.
Okay.
I'll do that.
It's funny.
I'm just gonna search for it. Okay, here we go. Prohibited parking. Parking or storage of vehicles shall not be permitted in the front yard in any residential district with the exception of a driveway. So it doesn't specifically talk about lawn, but it specifically says in the front yard.
So I think this is sort of a two-pronged issue. One of them we can solve with what Valerie and Linda and Taryn and Stuart and Joe have put together, which is what Valerie just described. And I know that this is something that Trustee Fritchie has commented on in the past, which is when the zoning board is trying to decide if there are people who need the parking variance that we were just talking about, if parking can be put somewhere on that property, it was always the understanding that this board's preference was to not have front yard parking. But this is a little bit different because it means there can be a driveway that goes in front of the house as opposed to the left or the right. So to make that clarification more clear for the zoning board when they make those decisions. The part that we are still struggling to solve is that we have laws right now that you can't just dump your car on a lawn. The problem is, and Stuart is the subject matter expert, if it's in the section of the code that is administered by the building department, the second somebody turns that steering wheel, we have to start the process again. So this doesn't necessarily get rid of that problem. This fixes a problem that the zoning board has run into in terms of their interpretation of what this board would like them to do in those situations. Did I get that? Okay.
Then another edit.
I've done it long enough then to get it. Because I'm seeing more and more of it. And then somebody just pours tar and goes and put it in the driveway. Okay, it's not a driveway, you just pour tar in front of the house in that parking car.
Right, and that's why we now have the driveway permit to try to stop, prevent that.
Exactly.
Impermeable.
We'll get there soon. Okay. All right, I see no downside to it. Anybody else see a downside to saying yes to this?
There's.
Okay.
And just remember, what we're trying to do is finalize these all so that they can come back to you for the next step of scheduling a public hearing.
And then the last item, we want to talk about in terms of amended changes, deals with vehicles in residential districts. This would, again, originally we have, right now, the original language is not more than one such commercial vehicle may be parked on a developed lot or in a private garage or carport in any residence district, but not within the required yards of such lot and in no case between street line and the principal building. We are now proposing just to say not more than one commercial vehicle per dwelling unit may be parked in a driveway, private garage or carport in any residence district. I know, Stuart emailed me earlier today asking, so if it's a 4-family, does that mean somebody gets to have 4 commercial vehicles?
And how do you know if they're in the garage?
So the simple answer to that is yes, that would mean if you had a 4-family home, you could have up to 4 commercial vehicles. You could reduce it, and just say 1 commercial vehicle per lot. But I do know, living in the community, there are plenty of houses that have more than 1 commercial vehicle. If they happen to have taxis, contractors, and they're 2-family homes or 3-family homes. So, it's really a policy decision of this board, but I didn't want to necessarily just say only 1 commercial vehicle because we have plenty of 2, 3-family homes.
Is a regular kind of sedan that's been skinned with commercial.
That would count.
That was another question I had.
But it has to have a commercial plate.
No.
Well,
let me be.
Because there's some house cleaning services that put the skin on their car, but it's just a car.
No, but if I might. In our vehicle and traffic law, we define a commercial vehicle as having commercial plates, having equipment that makes it look like a commercial vehicle, or that it is wrapped like a commercial vehicle. So you could, and I get this in parking every 2 weeks. There are people who get tickets for commercial vehicles. They don't have the commercial plates, but they have ladders all over that's a commercial vehicle, or it's wrapped. It could be at one of the taxi companies. But the point I raised to Valerie is the zoning code does not define commercial vehicles. So we either have to adopt the vehicle and traffic definition, or you gotta put a definition
New
in
York
there.
State already has rules about that. It's not our decision what a commercial vehicle is. They already have that. It's just our zoning doesn't have that definition, is what I'm hearing you say.
The zoning doesn't, we have it, we put it into our vehicle and traffic.
Right, that's already there.
It's already been there.
So to me, it makes sense that they're the same.
Yeah, I would agree.
Right.
So a wrapped car would be considered a commercial vehicle.
Say.
It's a business, that's what they're using it for. They're also using it for themselves.
Yeah, because that's not.
So I will say, commercial vehicle as defined in chapter
250 section.
They'll refer, and if that chapter changes, this will change as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Got it.
Back to if it's a four family, do you then get four? Okay.
And so, I'm gonna dive in the weeds here. How did you choose the size of the 20 by 8? 20 feet long by 8 feet wide
For,
for the vehicle size max? This is that same section, right?
I
That's
think
that
I
section.
think that was already there.
That's been in there. That
Yeah.
that was
That
in,
part was in
when the
there?
code was first put in, yeah.
So. That excludes, so that size, just so I did some research, so that size excludes. The larger base Mercedes-Benz Sprinter vans, but it includes the smaller wheelbase. So it means a small wheelbase Sprinter van is fits, which, you know, could be, you know, okay. It does not exclude any of the Ford versions other than the extended cab. So policy question is, how restrictive do we want to be? Do we want to make it a little smaller lengthwise to exclude that middle version of the Ford Transit van or not? If we're really trying to keep people from like running businesses out of their yard or not, out of their house. Right?
I'm okay with that size. I think that size also in large families and probably also use larger vehicles. You know, I'm not focused on that. I mean, my goal is to hit 80-20 and not get so crazy about it. I'm more interested in how many of them there are than the, for me, the size is okay. I didn't even look at it. I'm glad you did, but if it hits, you know, most of the cars, and car styles change. I mean, that Tesla, whatever the hell that thing is, I don't even know what it's called. That's the tank looks long to me. I don't know if it's longer than a Suburban, but it looks pretty long to me. It's not a commercial.
And these laws generally aren't about preventing people from operating a business out of their home.
That's right.
They're more about, overnight parking and
Yeah.
visual, you know, lots of times you do have people who work in a business where they
Right.
drive their business car,
Right.
commercial vehicle home at night.
Which, that happens, right?
It's not, yeah, I would agree. I think that's a great point. It's not that you can't have a business out of your home. It's that you can't have a cab business and have 12 taxis
Right.
parked. So
Or
now
contracting
people
with big
With 7
vans.
trucks.
Yeah.
That's really what it's
With
about.
7 pickup
It's
trucks and all
about
that.
somebody who teaches how to drive, it doesn't want to, they're using, they're not just running a business out of their house, they're displacing residents from being able to park because they've got so many of these things. In a two-family house, that's really the goal. It's not because some guy is driving his car and people to the airport and they say.
I've got no like serious like.
Yeah.
You know, I just
fine.
want,
The thing
I just
was,
kind of want to look at it and see
That's
like,
fine.
you know, what was it limited
I think
versus
it's worth
not.
looking. I mean, we had somebody come in a year ago and said, my car weighs more than you allow, but it's a regular car. I don't use it for anything. It's just a big electric car. Electric vehicles, because of the batteries, weigh a lot. So, you know, they didn't exist 10, 15 years ago or 20 years ago, and he brought it to our attention, okay, you know, like, we changed it. I am concerned on the 4 unit that we just discussed, that then you can have 4, because that means lots of people living there, probably in a congested area. I'm just thinking of a real
Right.
community, not theory here, reality. And you're gonna have 4 cars, like, that to me is the worst case scenario.
Or commercial vehicles.
I'm sorry, for commercial vehicle. Some of these people also drive non-commercial, for non-commercial use. You're really talking about too many cars.
Or if, for example, I'm sorry, the person who owns the house is running a company.
Well, but we
in
know
in
that's
an
going on.
appropriate way, now they tell the 3 other families living there, no commercial cars for you, I need my 4 taxis to live
Right,
here.
and
And now
that's
you have to
exactly
go
what's
park on the
happening.
street,
Right,
which we also would like to avoid.
right. So how do we get around this piece? So we covered for 1, 2, and 3 family. How are we covering for beyond that?
Or no, I think we-
Family.
Right,
We're just
so,
saying 1 per parcel.
right, so originally, right, the original text was 1 per developed lot. Right, so if you have a 3-family, you get 1 commercial vehicle. So I modified it to say per dwelling unit to give some flexibility for the number of 2-family, 3-family houses they have in Ossining.
But kind of okay with that.
Yeah.
I do think
The
it's.
problem, remember, is you don't allow commercial to park on the street overnight.
Right.
So if you don't allow this, they'll have literally no place to put the vehicles,
Yeah.
and
Right,
that's
so
the bigger
someone
problem.
drives a commercial vehicle home,
Right.
they have to be able to park on the property, because they can't park on the street.
I mean, if you didn't wanna do per dwelling unit, I would recommend at least maybe 2 per lot.
So you can put a maximum maybe.
Yeah.
But then you get in a problem if you have a 4-family, who decides which 2 get to
Right.
have a personal vehicle?
Somebody owns a building.
Well, but your tenants, you make your tenants fight for which ones
That's
get to.
not, but that's not our problem, that's the issue of the person who makes money on all the tenants. And what they supply them, do they supply them parking with their rent, or they don't supply them parking?
Well, but even if they
You're
supply
limiting
them
the
parking.
amount that you're allowed to park on the property though.
The
So even if
commercial,
you,
right.
yeah. So
Well,
that's,
commercial,
yeah, so if somebody had enough parking spaces and they had 4 apartments and 3 people use,
who got commercial vehicles,
right, if you cap it, you know, what's the reasonable cap
right?
to,
Well, that was
because you're
part-
talking about parking on the property anyway.
They're not
Not
parking
really,
on the street.
yeah,
It
so,
kills.
I think we should let it go
Yeah.
the way it is, because I think that's getting too picky. The goal here is to stop having landlords who rent apartments, make no room for their tenants, but then use their driveways for some commercial business.
Yeah.
You know, multiple cars, and then the tenants have to park, so, I mean, that's really what that's more of. All right, we're gonna stay with that, we're not gonna make it impossible here.
But one
We'll
of
see how bad this gets, go ahead.
one other question, if we go back to the enclosed facilities thing, the one we
Yeah.
started to read, like,
Yeah.
except for 1 or 2 family dwellings. First floor or any basement or cellar not entirely below ground should not be solely used for parking.
Yeah.
So how does that jive with like the building that just went up on Croton next to the oil change?
What is that one?
It's not, yeah, but it's not being solely used for parking, they do have that commercial,
That store,
yeah, they have that store.
Oh, that's right, there was a store.
there's a retail,
And then in the proposed zoning for SPN,
Mhm.
that's not in conflict with any of the proposed configurations there where they can park underneath?
No, because you can park underneath, you just can't have it solely used for parking. So for example, I actually received a call the other day that wanted to take one of our mixed use districts. And then they were like, what if I just have all parking on the ground floor and then residential above the second, does that count as mixed use? And I said, no, that's not the intent. That's not the intent. So originally we had 40, minimum of 40 feet back from the front building line. And in speaking with, this was another one from the building department, they said that gets a little bit confusing and sometimes it's less than, so the recommendation there was to make it clear that you just can't solely use it for parking purposes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't in conflict with
Yeah.
any of the other stuff.
all right. What else?
Alright, so then the next topic is actually, the next one is, penalties for offenses. This one is. I did not come up with this one.
We're all looking at it.
This increases the penalties for zoning violations to, I think, minimum of 1,000 and, okay, does that, it includes a potential loss of profit, which is something we already have in chapter 92. I think it's actually double loss of profit. It increases the penalties, civil penalties to, I think, up to $2,000, and it basically makes it a daily fine if in fact the court wants to so award that. So it,
And you set up minimums, because the court has to do at least the minimum. Okay.
yes, I had an argument with a judge on that once.
Well, without a minimum.
No,
You can make it
he didn't like the minimum, he said, you're gonna force me to do the minimum, I said, that's the minimum.
That's why the judges actually, I think, prefer minimums, they've argued for that, many of them, that.
Thought the minimum
But
was
sometimes
too.
they don't like to, sometimes they don't wanna do that much.
Yeah, but that's why they are now, it's a minimum, but the minimum has been raised into this because the zoning violations tend to be actually more serious because they're generally, you're putting in an extra room, you're doing things that are clearly contrary to the zoning code.
And as we have learned throughout New York, and spreading, they've all become businesses. And so they're making $10,000 a month. In fact, it's 1,000, that's a lot. Yeah, really? Because you're making 10,000. So there's literally no incentive for people to stop doing what they're doing.
No.
Knowingly doing what they're doing,
I'm on board with this. And then,
unfortunately.
yeah, are these stackable? For multiple violations?
Yeah.
Each violation is.
Well, first of all, each violation, over every day, the answer is
Committing the
yes.
same thing, it has to
But
go up, because you
I want to
basically,
be clear,
he's calling.
the
it
odds of
stackable, it's
getting
not
that
real.
in the justice court,
Zero.
thin and none.
Okay.
In a Supreme Court matter, you might, but in justice
But
court.
we should do that then, because the ones that go to the Supreme,
We have gotten those in Supreme Court.
right, but
we
the
need-
judges go back to look at our codes, even at the Supreme, so we sort of have to have it in there, because it's not the local, at least for the next level.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't have it, it's absent.
Right, I was just saying like it's.
I don't think the term is stackable.
It's
It's like repeat offenders, I think is what we're
Well,
looking at.
it's not, it's not an escalating fine, but if
It's
a
repeat.
if a property has. If a property has multiple zoning violations that have been written up, it's minimum $1,000. $2,000 a day for each one of them.
Oh, I see.
So to me, that you're stacking the violations, so it could
Well,
be.
no, if we write multiple violations, it will be on each violation.
Exactly, so for me, I'm viewing those as stackable, so that.
That really is very engineering like, yeah.
Right, like you're stacking violation on
Yeah.
violation. So that's like 2,000
I get
a day, it's 2,000 plus 2,000 a day versus like that, right, as opposed to escalating,
No, I understand.
which is the other
I
one.
get it.
Where it's like.
I mean, when
repeat
people
offenders.
understand why we do it, then they get it.
Alright,
This is not about revenue,
No.
this is about price to
Deterrent.
used to make it unprofitable for you to keep breaking the law.
turn, it's, okay.
Next.
Save the best for last.
I'm so excited. What's this?
Last is non-conforming uses, and I'm gonna turn this over to Linda, but just the crux of this is the issue that we've talked about before, dealing with changes to the expansion and enlargement of non-conforming uses. So Linda, if, we presented this to the board previously, and the board asked for, recommendations from both the zoning board and planning board. The planning board was fine with what the village board put forth as the amendment, and the ZBA had some proposed, changes, and so that's what Linda's here to talk a little bit about, and to get your.
So this is another thing that the zoning board has been faced with a lot in some very difficult situations. And some of the language that's currently in the code has been problematic for the zoning board in terms of how to apply it and how to interpret it. So on the language that's been proposed, there's really one main issue that the zoning board still had. And it's in relation to non-conforming residential uses. So thank you for taking out the 10% thing that nobody could figure out how to calculate. Used to say that you could expand it by 10%, but nobody knew how to.
10% of what?
10% of what?
Well, that's what was recommended to the board, by the way.
Right.
That's the
So
language.
the other remaining issue was, in the section on when they can approve an enlargement or extension of non-conforming residential use. So, the existing language, sorry, I'm just trying to. Talks about. Within an area that's clearly and demonstrably intended, arranged, or designed to accommodate such use. That's one of those things that's been difficult for the zoning board, to apply. It's just not real clear language. So the zoning board was recommending, and in their revisions, you have two versions of this in your packet. One includes the zoning board revisions. So the don't, why can't I open the other section?
I was wondering with the two.
Maybe it was like just one change in terms of like floor size or something like that.
Well, what they wanted to say is that it can be expanded into existing interior spaces, such as by finishing an attic or finishing a basement, where there's no exterior expansion, no increase in density, so it can't add an additional unit. So if you're a non-conforming 3-family in a 2-family district, but you have an unfinished attic or an unfinished basement, you could expand into those, provided there's no expansion of the footprint of the building, no addition to the building. And provided you weren't adding an additional unit.
But you can add additional room.
You can add an additional room in existing space.
You can make those units bigger.
Right, you can make those units bigger. Now, there's other things that you have to find as well, that's not gonna create, impacts on the neighborhood character. The compatibility provisions still have to be determined. But the board much preferred that language and felt that people with non-conforming residential should be able to expand into those existing spaces.
So I have the before and after language, I found it. And so it's the extension, this is what it's currently, the extension or enlargement is limited to portions of the building or structure that were clearly and demonstrably intended, arranged, or designed to accommodate such use at the time the use became non-conforming.
Which section is that?
That is section,
239.
E3,
E5.
E5B.
E5B.
Yeah.
What's the new one?
And the new one is the extension or enlargement is limited to existing interior floor area within the building and does not increase the building's footprint, height, or exterior dimensions.
I think it's important to put the context for that, but that's like, there are 4 criteria.
Right, that's
for
only one of
improvement,
the
and
4.
it's just one of the 4 criteria.
Yes.
I think that's like.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah, so.
So again, the criteria that you can't increase the number of dwelling units remains, the no adverse aesthetic, environmental, or ecological impacts remains. So it's really just that difference between using the portions of the building or structure which were clearly and demonstrably intended, arranged, or designed to accommodate such use. That's been a very difficult standard for the
Because
zoning
nobody
board
knows
to
what that
apply.
actually means.
Right.
Because how do you know what the intended use is?
Right, so the zoning board's preference was to say, and to allow expansion of these into existing.
So you can, if there isn't a window there now, you could put a window in, even though you're not expanding the.
Yeah. And you might have to for code purposes. Like there may be things like that that have to be done to make that space code compliant or to be part of the unit. But you can't add, you can't put an addition.
Right, and one of the criteria is that the extension or enlargement will bring the use into greater conformity with this chapter in the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code, building construction.
So it's supposed to enhance the house,
Yeah.
not the stuff. And an attached garage, is that part of the, like, can that be used for turning a attached garage into a room versus a garage? See, I think that's where the intended use was originally there, by the way.
You mean, so if it was like a garage, not,
I mean, converting a garage to habitable space.
Right. Because it doesn't change your footprint.
Right.
It isn't the intended use, which is what's covered by the words intended use. It was designed for cars, or 2 car or 1 car. when you take original intended use out, you take that out. And you can now allow people to take garages and turn them into bedrooms.
I think it probably would permit that.
It would, I think it would permit it if for some reason the unit was undersized to the zoning or doesn't have the correct, like access or emergency access.
But you couldn't do that if you need that garage for your required parking. You could only do that if you still have the required parking on the lot. The ones that the zoning board has seen have been attics and basements. That's what they've really seen, is people wanting to expand to make the units bigger. And sometimes it's actually been a good idea because you've had units that didn't even meet the minimum. Right. So it's made them more code compliant by letting them make these units bigger. So the ones they've seen have been basements and attics.
But many basements have been turned into apartments that are being rented out.
Well,
I don't see it that way,
but under
it's not presented that way.
Right, well, and if they do that, they're not compliant with code and they're in violation. You can't not approve something in anticipation that someone's gonna violate the code. And basements, it's always gets interesting with basements because there's always code compliance issues. So basements sometimes can be done, sometimes can't be done without a lot of work to make sure that it's habitable.
Seldom have the second egress.
Yeah.
And I think that's.
Ceiling heights or height egress, yeah.
I think garages.
I've seen one wanna dig out the basement.
I think the garages and barns is the whole point of the intended original use. I think that's why it was put in there in the first place. And so I'm just concerned, I originally thought, oh, this is great, let's take intended
Well,
out.
the barn is a detached, that's not, I mean, it have to be part of the structure. Have to be within the existing, and actually it says existing interior floor area.
Yeah, but
A garage
is
could
part of
be,
your
if
house.
people convert garages to living space all the time.
Right. Which is then why there's no room for the cars.
Well, they still have to provide parking. They can't do it if they don't have parking on the
Is it
property.
okay to turn a garage into like an office for a business as long as there's no bathroom in it or no kitchen?
If it's a business that's permitted as a home.
Most of our-
zoning district. and-
Most of our residential neighborhoods don't allow that anymore. You're not supposed to have doctor's offices, psychologists, that they used to.
But you can have I mean, you know.
Everyone has an
for-
office in their house
For
now.
a lot of different businesses, nobody would ever,
But
Yeah, home occupations have changed in the current world.
just for people who work virtually and things like that.
Right. But not like, there used to be, every neighborhood used to have a dentist, most neighborhoods don't allow that, because that's people coming, they have to park somewhere to see the dentist, you're not supposed to do that. Or retail.
You do the dentist on Elm.
In my neighborhood, there were two, when we moved in and.
Sign was like,
So the real question is whether you're agreeable to the change that the zoning board asked for.
Yeah, I think, to me, it makes sense, first of all, the first one is not that easy to understand, so this is better.
Yeah, and that was the zoning board's problem, is what is
They
this,
can't do.
how do we apply this? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, I don't care if it's one.
yeah.
It-
Again, we keep coming back to parking. We keep coming back to all these changes. If you can't come and say, I have enough parking, and say, oh, well, my in-laws moved in and I need 2 more spots and now I need 4 more spots, because that's what really happens.
Can I ask a question about a separate section?
You can try.
It came up, look, you give me something, I'm gonna read it, okay? So in the commercial section D, I think it's where it allows, so repair, maintenance, non-structural alterations. Section D allows it to change to another non-conforming use if it's of the same or more restricted nature, doesn't alter character, doesn't cause adverse benefits. Yeah. Why do we allow it to change to another non-conforming use?
Only if it's a better non-conforming use. That's why it says,
I know, but that.
and that's pretty typical, because you're moving in the right direction. And it's up to the, I mean, the zoning board has to approve it. It's not automatic. They have to also find that it doesn't change the essential character of the neighborhood, won't cause adverse.
Your problem is that the word that was so subjective that it gets us back to the same problem. They use words that are so
I would say.
wishy-washy,
So
like
that-
better in what sense?
That's a really, like, it's a bigger issue for people who want to do the right thing on the existing non-conformity. Because, there were properties that, when I was at that, again, pardon me, but I do want to interject here because it's important, that were built in a way that they had like interior spiral fire escapes that were made of wood. They had like, there were so many things wrong. And, when we went to get use variance, we weren't able to, and it was two pre-existing non-conforming houses on one tax lot, like, it was just a crazy, crazy thing, and having to rebuild them in place perpetuated things that were like grossly unsafe, like, we had no way around it, so I don't know if there's a better word than better, but
So it doesn't say better in the code, it says is the same or of a more restricted nature. So let's give an example, if you have a non-conforming 5-family house in a 2-family district. And they wanna convert it to a 4-family or a 3-family, it's still a non-conforming use, but it's less non-conforming if you.
Oh, so it's more restrictive is the word. So you can't take a 5 and make it a 6.
Right.
exactly,
Yeah.
that you're supposed to be going. So I think that for many, many reasons would help people.
It's pretty.
Want to invest in properties that find investable, it's hard to invest in. And do modifications to, and, have it.
You have a gas station
Okay.
that wants to convert to a convenience store and get rid of the gas station. But the convenience store also isn't for, wouldn't you like to get rid of the gas station even if you still have the convenience?
I see this a lot, and not, it's.
Yeah.
But that's right.
Yeah, also change, this decade's definition of better versus other decades is different. That's why subjective words become problematic. That's why we'll be doing a lot of this. Hopefully this will last for 10 before it goes down the drain there. How people use their houses. It can change it over years.
Yeah, I just struggle with the whole concept of. Like, it's not conformal for a reason. But.
You have a
right,
lot of
and you're going to, I know that. Believe me, I was from there, right? Like, I did math. Like, 70% of the T-zone.
So there
I think in the last 5 years, we've made tremendous strides in no longer even getting applications for use variances.
Because people know that it's stuck.
Well, and they used to get approved, and I think
And now they're not.
Yeah.
And we require pre-app meetings for all of these applications where we tell them the percentage chance that this is gonna be successful, that you really, the applicants and their verse.
Are we good? Pat? Just a question?
Yeah. And the answer. Doesn't like the answer.
Sorry.
This is worth holding up everything also, right?
I think it's one of those, like, a couple of others that we spoke about tonight, like, oh, this was the intention,
Yeah.
here's what happened, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Okay, we're moving forward. It's not a yard, it's a
There's,
foot,
there's
we're moving forward.
too many positive change.
Yeah,
Yeah, talk about.
all right, where you go. And what else we got? That's it. It's mean nothing.
She's been all kinds of like.
For now. I know.
Guys, there's too many people talking.
Zoning stuff and like.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart, Valerie, thank you.
all.
Good night.
Especially.
We're adjourned.